we touch the sky. From the green flag to checkered, it's a razor-thin edge, pushing harder with each second, living on the ledge, drafting on the straightaway, bumper to bumper. A split-second mistake and you're going under. Pit stops, time, perfect strategy in hand. Every driver, every team takes a bold stand. In the world of esports, this is where we collide. The Grind Cup unites us with passion and pride. Racing in the Grind Cup, we're burning the turns. Throttle wide open, feel the engines churn. It's the heart of the league where champions rise, pushing limits in the oval till we touch the skies. As the tires screech, hearts pound, adrenaline's fire, lap by lap, chasing that finish line desire. Rookies and legends all fight for the crown, but only one will take the title down. Every lap it's a battle, every corner's a fight. Precision in the daytime, adrenaline at night. The Grind Cup Series, championship and mission, the goal we all crave. Speed and skill define the legends we raise. Racing in the Grind Cup, we're burning the turns. Throttle wide open, feel the engines churn. It's the heart of the league where champions rise, pushing limits in the oval till we touch the skies. From the green flag to checkered, it's a razor-thin edge, pushing harder with each second, living on the ledge, drafting on the straightaway, bumper to bumper. A split-second mistake and you're going under. From the green flag to checkered, it's a razor-thin edge, pushing harder with each second, living on the ledge, drafting on the straightaway, bumper to bumper. A split-second mistake and you're going under. Pit stops, time, perfect strategy in hand. Every driver, every team takes a bold stand. In the world of esports, this is where we collide. The Grind Cup unites us with passion and pride. Racing in the Grind Cup, we're burning the turns. Throttle wide open, feel the engines churn. It's the heart of the league where champions rise, pushing limits in the oval till we touch the skies. So here's to the racers, the Oval League's pride. Through every twist and turn we ride or die. In the Grind Cup Series we find who we are, chasing glory and victory beneath the virtual stars. Racing in the Grind Cup, we're burning the turns. Throttle wide open, feel the engines churn. It's the heart of the league where champions rise, pushing limits in the oval till we touch the skies. Racing in the Grind Cup, where legends are made. The esports Oval League driving the arcade. Racing in the Grind Cup, where legends are made. The esports Oval League driving the arcade. Under the lights, engines roar, we're ready to go. The esports Oval League with the best race to show. Grinding gears, chasing dreams on the virtual track. No looking in the rear view, there's no turning back. Every lap it's a battle, every corner's a fight. Precision in the daytime, adrenaline at night. The Grind Cup Series, championship and mission, the goal we all crave. Speed and skill define the legends we raise. Racing in the Grind Cup, we're burning the turns. Throttle wide open, feel the engines churn. It's the heart of the league where champions rise, pushing limits in the oval till we touch the skies. From the green flag to checkered, it's a razor-thin edge, pushing harder with each second, living on the ledge, drafting on the straightaway, bumper to bumper. A split-second mistake and you're going under. Pit stops, time, perfect strategy in hand. Every driver, every team takes a bold stand. In the world of esports, this is where we collide. The Grind Cup unites us with passion and pride. Racing in the Grind Cup, we're burning the turns. Throttle wide open, feel the engines churn. It's the heart of the league where champions rise, pushing limits in the oval till we touch the skies. As the tires screech, hearts pound, adrenaline's fire, lap by lap, chasing that finish line desire. Rookies and legends all fight for the crown, but only one will take the title down. Every lap it's a battle, every corner's a fight. Precision in the daytime, adrenaline at night. The Grind Cup Series, championship and mission, the goal we all crave. Speed and skill define the legends we raise. Racing in the Grind Cup, we're burning the turns. Throttle wide open, feel the engines churn. It's the heart of the league where champions rise, pushing limits in the oval till we touch the skies. From the green flag to checkered, it's a razor-thin edge, pushing harder with each second, living on the ledge, drafting on the straightaway, bumper to bumper. A split-second mistake and you're going under. From the green flag to checkered, it's a razor-thin edge, pushing harder with each second, living on the ledge, drafting on the straightaway, bumper to bumper. A split-second mistake and you're going under. Pit stops, time, perfect strategy in hand. Every driver, every team takes a bold stand. In the world of esports, this is where we collide. The Grind Cup unites us with passion and pride. Racing in the Grind Cup, we're burning the turns. Throttle wide open, feel the engines churn. It's the heart of the league where champions rise, pushing limits in the oval till we touch the sky. So here's to the racers, the Oval League's pride. Through every twist and turn we ride or die. In the Grind Cup Series we find who we are, chasing glory and victory beneath the virtual stars. Racing in the Grind Cup, we're burning the turns. Throttle wide open, feel the engines churn. It's the heart of the league where champions rise, pushing limits in the oval till we touch the skies. Racing in the Grind Cup, we're legends of mean. The ESports Oval League driving the arcade. Racing in the Grind Cup, we're legends of mean. The ESports Oval League driving the arcade. Under the lights, engines roar, we're ready to go. The ESports Oval League with the best ways to show. Grinding gears, chasing dreams on the virtual track. No looking in the rear view, there's no turning back. Every lap it's a battle, every corner's a fight. Precision in the daytime, adrenaline at night. The Grind Cup Series, championship and mission. The goal we all crave, speed and skill define the legends we raise. Racing in the Grind Cup, we're burning the turns. Throttle wide open, feel the engines churn. It's the heart of the league where champions rise, pushing limits in the oval till we touch the sky. Plus the green flag to checkered, it's a razor thin edge. Pushing harder with each second, living on the ledge. Drafting on the straightaway, bumper to bumper. A split second mistake and you're going under. Pit stops time, perfect strategy in hand. Every driver, every team takes a bold stand. In the world of esports, this is where we collide. The Grind Cup unites us with passion and pride. Racing in the Grind Cup, we're burning the turns. Throttle wide open, feel the engines churn. It's the heart of the league where champions rise, pushing limits in the oval till we touch the skies. The tires screech, hearts pound, adrenaline's fire. Lap by lap, chasing that finish line desire. Rookies and legends all fight for the crown, but only one will take the title down. Every lap it's a battle, every corner's a fight. Precision in the daytime, adrenaline at night. The Grind Cup Series, championship and mission. The goal we all crave, speed and skill define the legends we raise. Racing in the Grind Cup, we're burning the turns. Throttle wide open, feel the engines churn. It's the heart of the league where champions rise, pushing limits in the oval till we touch the skies. From the green flag to checkered, it's a razor thin edge. Pushing harder with each second, living on the ledge. Drafting on the straightaway, bumper to bumper. A split second mistake and you're going under. From the green flag to checkered, it's a razor thin edge. Pushing harder with each second, living on the ledge. Drafting on the straightaway, bumper to bumper. A split second mistake and you're going under. Pit stops time, perfect strategy in hand. Every driver, every team takes a bold stand. In the world of esports, this is where we collide. The Grind Cup unites us with passion and pride. Racing in the Grind Cup, we're burning the turns. Throttle wide open, feel the engines churn. It's the heart of the league where champions rise, pushing limits in the oval till we touch the sky. So here's to the racers, the Oval League's pride. Through every twist and turn we ride or die. In the Grind Cup Series we find who we are, chasing glory and victory beneath the virtual stars. Racing in the Grind Cup, we're burning the turns. Throttle wide open, feel the engines churn. It's the heart of the league where champions rise, pushing limits in the oval till we touch the skies. Racing in the Grind Cup, we're legends of mean. The ESports Oval League driving the arcade. Racing in the Grind Cup, we're legends of mean. The ESports Oval League driving the arcade. Under the lights, engines roar, we're ready to go. The ESports Oval League with the best ways to show. Grinding gears, chasing dreams on the virtual track. No looking in the rear view, there's no turning back. Every lap it's a battle, every corner's a fight. Precision in the daytime, adrenaline at night. The Grind Cup Series, championship and mission. The goal we all crave, speed and skill define the legends we raise. Racing in the Grind Cup, we're burning the turns. Throttle wide open, feel the engines churn. It's the heart of the league where champions rise, pushing limits in the oval till we touch the sky. Plus the green flag to checkered, it's a razor thin edge. Pushing harder with each second, living on the ledge. Drafting on the straightaway, bumper to bumper. A split second mistake and you're going under. Pit stops time, perfect strategy in hand. Every driver, every team takes a bold stand. In the world of esports, this is where we collide. The Grind Cup unites us with passion and pride. Racing in the Grind Cup, we're burning the turns. Throttle wide open, feel the engines churn. It's the heart of the league where champions rise, pushing limits in the oval till we touch the skies. The hearts pound, adrenaline's fire, lap by lap, chasing that finish line desire. Rookies and legends all fight for the crown, but only one will take the title down. Every lap it's a battle, every corner's a fight. Precision in the daytime, adrenaline at night. The Grind Cup Series, championship and mission, the goal we all crave. Speed and skill define the legends we raise. Racing in the Grind Cup, we're burning the turns. Throttle wide open, feel the engines churn. It's the heart of the league where champions rise, pushing limits in the oval till we touch the skies. From the green flag to checkered, it's a razor-thin edge, pushing harder with each second, living on the ledge, drafting on the straightaway, bumper to bumper. A split-second mistake and you're going under. From the green flag to checkered, it's a razor-thin edge, pushing harder with each second, living on the ledge, drafting on the straightaway, bumper to bumper. A split-second mistake and you're going under. Pit stops time, perfect strategy in hand. Every driver, every team takes a bold stand. In the world of esports, this is where we collide. The Grind Cup unites us with passion and pride. Racing in the Grind Cup, we're burning the turns. Throttle wide open, feel the engines churn. It's the heart of the league where champions rise, pushing limits in the oval till we touch the skies. So here's to the racers, the Oval League's pride. Through every twist and turn we ride or die. In the Grind Cup Series we find who we are, chasing glory and victory beneath the virtual stars. Racing in the Grind Cup, we're burning the turns. Throttle wide open, feel the engines churn. It's the heart of the league where champions rise, pushing limits in the oval till we touch the skies. Racing in the Grind Cup, we're legends of me. The esports Oval League driving the arcade. Racing in the Grind Cup, we're legends of me. The esports Oval League driving the arcade. Under the lights, engines roar, we're ready to go. The esports Oval League with the best race to show. Grinding gears, chasing dreams on the virtual track. No looking in the rear view, there's no turning back. Every lap it's a battle, every corner's a fight.
evening, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome here to the Flatout Racing Network's continued coverage of the 2025 season for the ESports Oval League's Grind Cup Series as we now get set to go racing in the Napa Valley. It's the third road course stop of the season. We are at the Sonoma Raceway, closing very rapidly at the close of this regular season. The playoff grid is starting to take shape, and drivers now get ready for the high elevation, the winding twists and turns of this 7-corner racetrack. This racetrack has 12 corners, but they're only going to be utilizing a few of them here today, not running the full course section. I'm Seth Cole alongside of Scott Rankin. And Scott, you mentioned last week, this is a racetrack where you cannot afford to put a wheel wrong. You have to be the excellence of execution or you will pay the price. And with watching you drivers here in practice, the track is hot, it is slick, it's about everything you guys don't want to have to deal with for 70 laps.
Yeah, this place is really, really tricky. You got to balance the car. Tires are going to be a big talking point. We talked about them at length last week. We'll be talking about them more today because there's some more changes. Remember, one of the big things we talked about from Kentucky was the fact that the tires were actually wearing. Well, they weren't actually wearing last week was the big thing. This week, they actually are wearing, and they're wearing quite significantly, Seth. We're losing up to 3 seconds in terms of tire wear across the course of the run. So massive, massive changes. The other thing, cold tires are diabolical. The car does not want to grip into the track. And look, just getting the job done in qualifying is going to be a mountain to climb.
Some heavy braking zones here at this version of Sonoma. That hard right-hander in 4A, another hard right-hander, almost kind of in a way, almost, I'd say a 70-degree right-hand turn in 7A, and then of course the hard braking zone to the horseshoe at the exit of the final corner, turn 11, before you turn for home on the front straightaway to the start-finish line. You mentioned about tires wearing, and we see a lot of times at road courses, strategy come into play. 70 laps here tonight, 15 laps the first stage, 15 laps the second stage. How much does the tire wear come into play in terms of what we could see with pit strategy, drivers potentially trying to flip those stages?
Well, flipping the stages I don't think necessarily be the key. The big thing is if you come at the end of lap 15, you actually can't make it home. So that's the tricky part. You will have to make a pit stop midway through stage number 2. We're expecting, the two expected strategies are 20, 25, 25 to get home. Or alternatively, it'll be 25, 25, and 20 to get home. You know, a nice quick short shoot at the back end of the run, potentially being the preferred strategy. So a couple different options to go about it in terms of that way, but it's pretty much going to be those two strategies realistically. You've got two 25-lap runs to do and a 20-lap run to do. Now you can split it up, go 23, 23, or 22, 23, and there's little bits and pieces that you can do there, but that's about it really. You sort of got a 5-lap difference that you've got to use on all your stops, so there's not a huge deal of wiggle room on this one tonight, Seth.
Last time we were at a road course, it was Watkins Glen. That was in the middle of Alan Dobbs' 3 wins in a row. He's starting to build a streak once again, winning a couple of weeks ago at Worldwide Technology Raceway at Gateway, and last week in the Bluegrass State at Kentucky. Alan Dobbs, I believe he was up in the top 3 in speeds. What are we looking at here potentially for a 3P? Because I also saw a couple of meddlesome Toyotas up near to the top of the board, the 96 of DJ Daniels, and maybe some 61 car at the top of the board.
Hell yeah, it's time for that invitational drive, baby. Road courses are my thing to remember, Seth. So in terms of that sort of thing, look, Dobbs is confident. He is absolutely driving well at the moment. And you're right, that does extend to the road course side of things. So he's going to be there and thereabouts. The big thing that I heard him talking about was just consistency today will be the big thing for him. He's just looking to make sure that he logs the laps, puts a good point score on the board, which I think you've got to sort of approach this race that way. And the reason for that is there's just so many variables. Traffic will be a big issue. So just making sure that you finish the race, I think, is what his target will be. He won't be pushing for a win. He won't be pushing for outright pace, but he'll be there and he'll be thereabouts, you know. So in all the right places, in all the right boxes, but he'll be just looking to make sure he scores points at the end of the day.
You talk about traffic, and while this is a rather lengthy road course, when the field gets spread out, normally with road course yellows, leaders are eventually going to come up on the tail end of the field. Are there any particular trouble spots that you're looking at here that you specifically don't want to come up on a car, whether you're getting ready to lap them or them potentially being in trouble in front of you?
Well, time for a ride on board, shall we say, Seth, because just coming to the end of my second qualifying lap at the moment. I can tell you, right here, have a look at where pit lane on the left-hand side feeds out. It feeds right on the racing line. And it's very difficult. I tried getting underneath Chris Hubka going in here in the middle of practice. Ran him wide, made contact with him. We both walked away from it, but it's going to be mind your P's and Q's. So for the traffic, it's about thinking what's going on. Through here, this is single file. There's not much you can really do. What you can do is set up City's second corner. If you run wide at the first one, you're going to run wide at the second one and carry no momentum. So it's set it up. Down over here, bounce it over the curbs. You can just nick the curb on the inside. Look at me crawl all over the curbs there. You can hear the car bottom out as well. Down the inside here, this is probably your best braking opportunity to get the inside of something, get the move done, because the track's a fair bit wider there. So it is a little bit easier than the final corner, then the S's. A little bit of curb on the right. This is single file again. You can't do anything through here. It's just be patient, get your nose up and on them so that they feel like they've got to push harder. If they push harder, they run a lick wide, that's where you get the move done. So it's about forcing the mistake today. It's not actually about getting the job done. You can see I've made a mistake now. I've run wide as the front tires really start to complain. That's how somebody will get the job done. Final corner, you can bomb it up the inside, and I'll be looking in my rearview mirror every single time we get to the braking zone down there. And the reason for that is I want to be looking out for guys that miss the corner. If they fire down the inside, I've got to stay, I've got to wait. Now I can turn in will be the big thing. This corner right here on the opening lap, bedlam, chaos, somebody's going around for sure.
One thing I noticed as you come up the hill here in preparation for turns 2, 3, and 4, these curbings, I've seen a number of drivers, including yourself. I saw the 96. I mean, those front tires, they pop up into the air. Those curbings are abrasive.
Not abrasive, it's the cars are so stiff. When you have, realistically, this is the one thing that NASCAR sort of has similar to a Formula One car. A lot of our downforce is generated underneath the car. Let's go for a ride. We'll smash some curbs here and show you what it does to the car. But bang, bang, bang. You can literally hear it inside the cockpit. Well, a little bit too much curb on there. Make sure I'm a little bit wide here. You can ride that curb a little bit, and then you want these flat curbs through here. These ones are actually quite okay to ride over, no problem. Just the car there. And you actually want to use those curbs because it rolls you nicely into this next little section. So these are all nice and flat corners. These are actually okay. Pit lane exit off on the side here as well is really important. Could see an incident on the way into pit lane was something that was very conscious of as well. Missing the apex there, so I'm doing a great job of doing the demo drive. But watch back through this first sector. The big key will be watch these curbs as we go our way through, and then I'm going to try and squeeze a little break in because there's going to be no time to think about that. I want my mind on the game for the next couple of hours. Watch this curb right here. Check this one. Car will ride it, but doesn't like it. You can see that's all the result of too much curb. Through here, check this out. You're going to watch this thing bounce. Nope, doesn't like it. Again, doesn't like it. I have to come back out of the gas to make the car rotate through there. And then down here, do not touch this inside curb. You ready? Whoa.
Oh my
car
gosh.
doesn't like it.
Oh, wow. And look at the pop up there onto that following curb on the outside of the corner. Gracious.
Yeah, it just bounces the whole way through. So potty breaks now because we got a minute before that race session's live. The big thing is you saw that shot there as well, marbles. Now, I don't know how much the oval guys will know about the marbles and race courses, but they can be deadly.
Lot that we're going to have to keep squirreled away here in preparation for this race. Again, 3 stages. First stage will be at the conclusion of lap 15. All guaranteed cautions at the conclusion of these stages. We'll certainly see everybody on pit road. At the end of stage 1, we'll probably see them all back down pit road. At the end of stage 2, which will be at lap 30, and then we turn them loose for 40 laps in the third and final stage. We'll have to see. I would assume a green flag pit stop would probably have to take place between the start of that third and final stage and the checkered flag. And something else we got to keep an eye on here as well. This is a road course, so road course yellows. We will see drivers that will run into issues. They will get off track. They will spin out, but it may more than likely not bring out a full course yellow. So drivers that have issues in the early going of this race, they'll have plenty of time to be able to try and mount a comeback, but you do not want to make a mistake in the latter portions of this race because you will not have enough time to be able to get back up to the position that you were currently running at, and there is very little room for you to go off the track where you will not make contact with something that will not hurt. There's no sand traps here. There's no gravel pits to be able to slow the car down. This is just where the sun has baked the grass. It may look like it's sandy, may look like it's a beach, but no, there is absolutely nothing to slow the race car down from hitting an Armco barrier, a concrete barrier, or a tire barrier, and all three of those types of walls, they will do damage to the race car.
Yeah, that they will, and the big thing is, you're right. So there will be pit stops. It'll be in the middle of stage 2. It'll be somewhere from lap 20 to 25 in stage 2, and your final pit stop will happen somewhere after lap 50 and before lap 55. So those are the two windows that you're sort of looking at. There is a little bit more wiggle room than that. It's not as tight to that as possible, but that would be the expected strategy.
Last time a Toyota went to victory lane was back at the Paperclip short track of Martinsville. Brandon Cooper picking up his second win on the season. Chevrolet's been to victory lane the last 2 weeks, but a couple of Toyotas will line up on the front row for this one as we take a look at your starting lineup. Alan Dobbs, your points leader, going to start back in row 2 with another multi-time winner on the season in Mark Gonzalez. We've seen Ryan Catalano put together some good runs here in the last month. He's going to complete the top 5 as we look the way back through. 21 drivers going to take the green flag in this one here tonight. And I mentioned about the fact that we have guaranteed cautions coming up here. So with that being said, how much on the edge are drivers going to be in the early going, trying to get as much track position as they can, especially those drivers that are starting mid-pack to rear of the field? If they make a mistake, as long as they stay on the lead lap, the caution's going to bunch them all back up. But do we play it a little bit more reserved here at the initial drop of the green flag? Like you said, cold tires, you gotta want to build up the tire temps a little bit so you have some grip going into these braking zones.
You're definitely going to want to build some tire temperature on this outlap for sure. Anything that you can do. There's actually been a fair host of updates to the tire system we documented last week, but one of the things we actually didn't talk about was tire temperatures and how those are built. The big thing is that Matt Metler's he's just had a shifter that broke in sim. So this is something I was actually going to talk to you about is hardware issues, because I'm experiencing some this week as well. That happened as soon as we went to the practice session. I'm glad it happened during the practice session, not during the race, unlike Matt Metler, unfortunately. He's got no shifter right now.
That was scheduled to roll off, I believe it was from the 11th position, and there you see him trying to get his issues fixed. Hopefully get it before the green flag comes out. When we showed you the starting lineup, it showed you the 17 drivers that laid down a lap time. Did not show the remainder of the field. Trey Whitehead will start 18th with Tanner Marr, Larry Bell, Chris Roberge, the 21 drivers that will be competing here tonight for 70 laps in Sonoma. The goats and sheep have done a good job of making sure that this grass is not overgrown on the racetrack here, and now drivers will get ready to test the limits of this windy road course. 12 corners that they're going to have to traverse for 70 circuits as we look to see who's going to pick up the third checkered flag at a road course here this season. We've run Chicago Street Course, we've run Watkins Glen, Sonoma ready to play its part here in the 2025 schedule for the Grind Cup Series. Into the little left-hand crook of turn 12 to the front straightaway. Green flags in the air, and we're racing in the Napa Valley.
Here we go. So this is the tricky part, pulling it up for turn 1.
DJ Daniels edges out ahead. Oh, contact for the lead. Pole sitter goes around. No caution as we continue to race. Mark Gonzalez got the race lead after all that. Gonzalez, a multi-time winner on the season, back-to-back at Darlington and Texas. Now leads DJ Daniels and Alan Dobbs. Peyton Holland falling back a little bit there after the exit out of turn 7. And Dobbs now hounding for the second spot. on the throwback of DJ Daniels. Dobbs looking for 3 in a row. Couple car lengths back to the 71 of Brock Whitehead in the 4th position.
So now this changes the race plan a little bit for a number of guys. DJ's quick enough to lead this thing, but we've got some work to do. Car around the final corner.
Jonathan Cogswell right up against those tire barriers there, inside portion of turn 11. He'll get it back turned around, keep going. Again, the good news for drivers that are running into the issues here in this first stage is there is going to be a guaranteed caution coming out at the completion of lap 15, but track position being lost as a result of the issues here. They're going to have to rely on the rest of the race, stage 2, to be able to get some of it back and then maybe get all of it back by the time we get to stage 3.
No stage caution as far as I'm aware, so this is all green flag from here to the end of the race. Yeah.
Okay, so did not know that. So points get paid out at the conclusions of laps 15 and 30, but with no stage yellow coming out here, we run through the stages here under green flag conditions unless we get a full course yellow. It's top 3 separated by about 1.2 seconds, about 6/10 from one back to the other, another 6/10 back to the 3rd position. So we start to watch the 61, the 31. There's Scotty Stevens a little off course there on the exit of the very fast turn 10. I feel like that's going to be a big trouble spot because you carry so much speed down the S's. You want to, we got trouble behind there in turn 11. That's Tanner Marr's got the tires.
Well.
Peyton Holland on the front straightaway, to your point there, in the M&M's Toyota. He'll get that car refired, continue on, but I feel like a lot of these corners where you carry a ton of speed, turn 10, the downhill section down to 4A, yes, there is some runoff there, but a lot of speed carried in there. You've got gravity obviously working against you as you're going downhill. A lot of those higher speed, heavy braking zone corners, I feel, are going to be a lot of the trouble spots here in this race tonight.
Yeah, potentially. And like we said, tire fall-off still to become a thing as well. Traffic will be huge. Traffic's going to be instrumental. If a guy can clear traffic and the car behind him can't, it'll be big. So it's about playing it smart now. So critical lap number is lap 12 for actually, I think it'll actually be 14 for getting home initially. So anytime after 14 we can start to come. Pit stops can get 28 laps on the fuel. And DJ Daniels starting to get on a move on as well.
Trey Whitehead making a pass around Matt Davies there. That was for 10th. Through the paperclip turn 11. Kind of similar to a corner at Martinsville, in a sense. So now Trey will look to catch up to Brock Whitehead in what will be a battle for 9th position. A couple of drivers that have worked their way forward since the start. Chris Hubka in the Simons number 5 Chevrolet. Right behind him, Patrick McQuaid. That is 6th and 7th position. And Dalton McKenney, not too far behind them, currently in the 8th spot. Noah Jackson just completed the pass around Ryan Catalano. New look there with the Kubota sponsorship on his Toyota this week. 4th position exchanging hands there. Albeit 8.5 seconds behind the race leaders. Looks like everybody that's run into issues is Catalano going to drive it deep there into turn 11. Jackson will let him have the spot, doesn't attempt to cross him back over, so Catalano goes back to 4th, but all drivers that have had issues here in the first 5 laps, looks like they all have continued on. Well, I was going to say none of them have made a pit stop, and just moments ago, Tanner Marr actually dove onto pit lane. A very quick stay in his pit box, about 4 seconds, and then down and away. This is a racetrack where you can come to pit road and not lose a lap.
I think the big thing for Tanner was that he may have impacted the barriers on the front straightaway, so that might have actually been damage related. So he's trying to mitigate what's going on for him. He will have to do the extra stop, though. That is going to be a 3-stop race for him from there. There is no way to get home from where we are.
Dobbs trying to reel in DJ Daniels. DJ was really the only driver, it looked like, maybe outside of Noah Jackson, who ran into a pit road penalty late last week at Kentucky, that was able to challenge Dobbs for that win. And now throw a blanket over the top three. You can see the rotors glowing there inside of that left front tire on the 35 into the heavy braking zone of turn 11. Just on board with Dobbs looking ahead. Ooh, maybe use the bumper a little bit here going into one. Oh, we definitely are using the bumper right there.
I mean, that's the thing. DJ was loose as he was trying to pick up the throttle as well. That was not easy. So, and again, like I said, tires are going to wear. So the rear end of the car is quite loose and unstable through that first sector. Trying to keep the car underneath you is rather difficult. So for these two, it's about racing each other, but it's keep it clean, look after the car. And for me, that's deeper in the field. I want to see these guys racing because they've cost each other time whenever they do.
Dobbs will clear for the second position. Now Chevrolet bow ties 1-2 with Daniels Toyota in third. And it's Toyota and Chevy closing out the top five. Looks like Jonathan Cogswell, who we saw have an issue in the early going of this race. He's retired out of the race already, going to finish in 21st position. As we follow Scott in the 61, making his way back up here after starting on the pole. Already up to the 8th position after having that spin at the top of the hill off of turn 1, dropping all the way back to the 20th position. 12 spots gained here in the last 5 laps.
Yeah, very, very happy with the recovery effort. There is 18 seconds to the lead though, so the lead is probably off the table at the moment, but now it's just do what we can.
The question also is, you talk about tire wear here. Do you feel that you're using up more tire and working your way through the field and the drivers are battling up at the front, or do you think it kind of equals out?
A little bit. I've just got to be smart about the way that we're using it at the moment. I actually just ran the... actually feel good right now. I haven't used a lot of them, but the big thing I was thinking about is how I'm diving into the corner. So if I'm following a slower car into a corner, I back the corner up because I'm looking to try and get underneath him when it exits the focus. So it actually helps me save a little bit of tire as well. One of the biggest ways that you can save tire, reduce your peak cornering speed. Why? Less force through the tire the whole way. You do that a lot, it'll eventually gain you some tire. It takes a little while for it to play out the way that you want though, so it's not as cut and dry.
We talked about the fact that we are getting close to the end of this regular season. After this race is concluded, we've only got a total of 6 points paying races. We've got the All-Star race in there as well before we put the playoff grid together. And big opportunity here for some drivers like a Chris Hubka, who comes into this race currently situated 17th, tied for 17th overall in points. Now we're still awaiting what the status will be here for Tanner Marr. I believe if he runs all the rest of the 6 races, he'll have gained enough positions and points for his victory at Talladega to count towards a playoff spot. Chris Reese as well, our Daytona winner, outside the top 20 in points, but I believe he still is in a playoff spot. So that puts a lot of pressure on drivers around 14th in the stands on down, like a Matt Davies, Chris Roberge, Ryan Catalano, Chris Hubka, to perform here down the home stretch in order to potentially win, if not point their way into a playoff position.
Yeah, so that's the big thing that guys will be focusing on, is making sure that I think the biggest thing, like I said today, is about finishing the race. Like, for Dobbs, anything can happen. It doesn't really affect him here, so he would love to put more bonus points on the board right now, if he possibly can. But at the same time, he just wants to make sure that nobody else is taking things away from him. He finishes the race. The worst possible thing that can happen is that he doesn't finish the race, right? So,
well, after last week, Alan Dobbs now jumps to the top of the statistics in terms of stage victories. Picked up his 8th stage victory to go along with his series-leading 6th victory on the season. And more than halfway here through this first stage, now putting pressure on Mark Gonzalez, who's going to have to deal with the Chevrolet of Tanner Marr. Put him a lap down. Matt Davis is already a lap down. Here comes Dobbs, looking to driver's left into the right-hander. Top of the hill for the S's in turn 7. Is going to draw even Now let's see who outbreaks who here through the S corners.
It'll be whoever has the inside through most of them should be good to go. But they don't want to make contacts, the big thing.
DJ Daniels getting into this mix as well. Dobbs will clear for the spot. Gonzalez will run a little bit wide there off of turn 10. Opens up the door for DJ Daniels to capitalize. They'll both try to outbreak each other here into turn 11, but Daniels will clear across the nose, so Gonzalez, in the span of half a lap, goes from the lead back to third. Alan Dobbs now out in clean air, looking to pull away from these two and give himself a bit of breathing space, as we'll have about a little over 5 laps to go here in this first stage. Dobbs, as you said, just trying to continue to rack up those playoff points.
That's a big shot in the field, because remember, he wasn't the fastest in qualifying. He was 4th, so he had a lot of work to do at the end of qualifying. He's made sure that he's smooth and consistent. I think Matt Davis has just had a big moment at 2 and 1.
Mark Gonzalez did at the top of the hill as well. He was with the top 2. He is now slipped way back, still in the 3rd position. Let's see if we can find out what happened to him. He was slow leaving turn 1. This is coming up the hill, right behind DJ Daniels, and then it's good up to this point. So I thought it was in turn 1. It might have actually been up here in 3 and 4. Oh yeah, you just see the cars start to come around on him. Oh, and then gets a shot from Tanner Marr. So gonna be some right front damage on that Budweiser Chevrolet.
Yeah, so some work to do. I think he's overcooked those rear tires now, and that's something that he's got to be super smooth on him. You can hurt the tire quite a lot, so not something you necessarily want to be doing. You can spin them up. It's just basically about minimizing wheel spin off the corners, because you got to remember, we're using...
We've talked so much at a lot of the bigger aerodynamic dependent tracks about even just having the slightest amount of damage can really affect the race car. What about at a road course? Is it a case of where you don't necessarily have the most beautiful car in the field, just as long as the tires are still good, the engine's still running, you're still able to make lap time and keep position?
Yeah, well, it's heat. One of the biggest things about the new tire model, like historically, it's all about keeping the heat out of the tire. But with this new tire model, that's not necessarily the case. It still is the same procedures and the same things that you can do to keep the heat out of the tire. Tanner Marr's just had a huge moment, I think, off the nose of Ryan Carnelon.
Looks like that's in the S's. That's just ahead of that battle we were looking at between Noah Jackson and Trey Whitehead. I believe Jackson had a moment between turns 4 and 7. As Tanner Marr pulls off into the grass, it looks like he's done for the day. Scotty Stevens is also retired out of the race, along with Jonathan Cogswell. A number of drivers have actually made unscheduled pit stops here in the last 3 laps. Matt Davies was on pit road 3 laps ago, and then Dalton McKinney, Chris Reese were on pit road this last lap.
The big thing about this series is you do 1 lap, you score points. So the big thing is you have to show up to score points. There's no start and park. You have to do that first lap. Once the first lap's in the books, you're good to go. So
Jonathan Cogswell, 8th in points coming into this race. The first driver to DNF, Scotty Stevens. We've seen him for the last month and a half, making starts here, but he's done for the day. And Tanner Marr on pit road. He actually did not retire out of the race yet. Called a tow to pit lane, maybe looking to repair that race machine. He's got to get himself some points here, climb up in the standings for his Talladega win to count towards a playoff position. As Alan Dobbs has now been able to open up a huge gap back to DJ Daniels, who's coming to pit road here. Oh, actually, I think DJ may have run into an issue. There's left front damage on that machine now.
This is very early, but this is right on the window. So this is the earliest you can physically pit and make it home. So 28 laps from here gets you to 40. Yeah, 2040. So he's going to have to do some fuel saving because he's got to find 2 laps over the next 2 runs, basically, worth of fuel.
See if we can find where he had his issue. Oh, wow. Overruns the exit of turn number 4, and watch right here as those tire barriers jut out. And he got it pretty good with that left front. You see the damage there. I wouldn't be surprised. It almost looks like the right front tire is towed in a little bit there. Like that thing is not driving correctly.
Yeah.
We said there's
Very likely.
little room for error. You make a mistake, this track will reach out and bite you.
Well, the biggest thing is, you remember back to my spin on lap 1, I was sitting on the edge of being towed back to pit lane. That's how little room we had back at turn 1. So, and down at turn 4, you've got less room because that tire barrier is right there. Turn 4 feels a lot like a street circuit, just in the way that it's set up. So,
7th place under contest, Noah Jackson looking back to Brock Whitehead. This is the closest battle on the racetrack right now. About 3 car length separation between those 2 Toyotas up here inside of the top 10. Looks like DJ Daniels came down pit road, has returned to the racetrack, still on the lead lap. About a near 15-second pit stop for him.
not too bad.
Picks up the spot there through turn 11, so move him up to 7th. Jackson will slip back into the 8th spot.
And now the chase for the race win begins.
There it is. Pass for 2nd. Scott Rankin getting around. Mark Gonzalez tries back to the inside here into turn 7. Gonna stay double wide. Whoa, there you talk about those rumble strips. Make the car unhappy with how low they are to the ground. Saw the 8 catch some air there going over one set of that curbing. And now it's going to be about 20 seconds separation from Dobbs back to Rankin. As this time the proverbial white flag would be displayed for Alan Dobbs. Next time by would be the completion of this first stage. Dobbs looking to pick up his 9th stage victory here of 2025. And those stage points, they pay out playoff points when the regular season comes to a close and the playoff standings are put together.
This one's not over though, because the cold tire phase of this race, I think, is going to be really. We've got two more of those sections to get through in terms of race speed as well. So there is a lot of life left in this, and there's a lot of room for things to go wrong. Traffic is going to be really difficult. We got guys that are 5 seconds a lap slower. You don't see that anywhere but at a road course, so that's something you got to account for.
Patrick McQuaid, Mr. Consistency, now works his way a little bit further up here into the top 5. Takes the 4th position from Ryan Catalano. Patrick coming into this race leading in both the top 5 and top 10 categories. 8 top 5s and 14 top 10s in the first 18 races this season, and looking to net yet another top 5 here this evening at Sonoma.
And the big thing for Pat is he was trying to put a lot of work into this one. Wanted to start streaming tonight. I think he did manage to get it successfully working. I think Mark Gonzalez is thinking about pitting. He was very curious as to when the end of the stage was.
Now the stage just concluded right there with Dobbs picking up the victory, Gonzalez 2nd, Rankin 3rd, McQuaid, Catalano top 5, then Brock Whitehead, Noah Jackson, Chris Hubka, Chris Roberge, and Trey Whitehead's going to snipe the final stage point here at the conclusion of stage 1. As you see, we stay green, we run right through it, no guaranteed caution, as I said at the beginning of the broadcast here at this road course. So next lap these drivers are looking for would be lap 30, the conclusion of stage number 2.
Yeah, so now it's just about hanging on to your race car. I don't know if Mark's heard, but this is NASCAR, not Drift Fest.
There's a drag strip in the infield. He could maybe do a little
There
drifting
is.
on there. And there you go. You mentioned it. Good call there on Gonzalez pitting. Ooh, having to brake really hard there to make sure he didn't make contact with that outside wall. Can utilize all of that access road there before you get to the commitment line, but you got to make sure you don't speed here. As dealing with traffic is Alan Dobbs. That's the 43 of Larry Bell that he's going to put a lap down. Larry in the 14th position right now. Peyton Holland, Dalton McKenney, Matt Davies have all fallen a lap down. Chris Reese is -2, and Tanner Marr has returned back to the racetrack after lengthy repairs on pit road, albeit 6 laps down. Last car running in 19th. As Matt Davies will go a second lap down, contact! Alan Dobbs off the door of Matt Davies as he was trying to pass him in turn 10. Dobbs going to try and get the car rewrited here, but going to lose some valuable track time there with that slide off of the next to last corner.
And this is the big thing I always talk about, Seth, that the road courses, it's not over. Anything can happen. We got ourselves a fragile tire. We got ourselves a car that is loose in the rear end. I made a mistake a couple laps ago, and now Alan will join me in the mistakes column.
Just shows
And
as
like
well,
I said,
mean,
traffic's going to be a big thing.
think of it as too. I mean, you talk, whoa, is now Dobbs going to overshoot the top of turn 1? I mean, we mentioned Dobbs, a winner at Watkins Glen. You got the runner-up finish. We're in the conversation for that checkered flag back at the Chicago Street Course. It's not just the drivers that come into this race with the survival mentality. It's drivers that are good at road courses that are having to deal with the elements here today as well. This racetrack, it just shows how challenging it is. It doesn't matter how much road course experience you have. You're going to have to try and fight this racetrack at some point, and pretty much almost the entire night.
Yeah. And even think back to Chicago, back when we still had Kyle Holden here with us. It's that he made a mistake on the last lap and nearly decided that race on the last lap. There was mistakes. Like, I should have qualified up at the point and been right up there. It would have been a really, really different race. Had to fight my way through the field. I'm getting used to it at this point at road courses. But it's mistakes. And road courses, it's so much easier to make mistakes and have them punish you because you've got less wiggle room. Think about your big ovals, right? You've got a lot of room up to the wall. You can really make a mistake, but you've got room to save it. So this is the difference here. This takes a lot of discipline in terms of how you're using the throttle. Car is loose. Car does not like the rear tires. So throttle discipline is major. Braking discipline. I know that the tires are wearing a little bit, so I'm underdriving the car a fraction. But I'm still trying to maintain pace at the same time. You underdrive the car on the ovals because you're looking to look after the tires. There is definitely an element of that here. You're going to have comers and goers as the night goes on. Mistakes, and then you're going to drive your way, whether it be from the back end of the field or from the front end of the field. It does not matter. You're going to have mistakes at some point and have to get those spots back.
DJ Daniels is on the charge after he made a pit stop, taking advantage of those fresh tires that moved him up to 7th place. Chris Hubka, Chris Roberts, Trey Whitehead, pretty close proximity for those 3 drivers, a little over a second separating them. Trey Whitehead has had an issue. I don't know if he's run to the back of somebody or not, but there was clear damage on the nose of the Send It Toyota Camry. As we look at the battle brewing once again for 5th place, Brock Whitehead got around Noah Jackson a couple laps ago. Jackson has since reeled him back in, and only about 3 to 4 car lengths between these two for the final spot inside of the top 5.
But have a look at these guys, right? They started further down. They've all gained spots. Daniels has had issues. Tanner Marr's had issues, right? We're only 20 laps into a 70-lap race. We are closing in on a 3rd race distance. We're very, very close to it right now. So that means that this next stint, think about Mark Gonzalez. He's gone for a massive undercut. He will have great pace right now, I can tell you that. So his next thing is that he's got to make sure he looks after those tires because he learned a big lesson. He joined late in practice and had the opportunity to run bulk laps and get that tire data about how the car was going to perform as the fuel burned off. So
Things starting to get interesting. 3rd place on back. Whitehead and Jackson have reeled in Patrick McQuaid. They're not that far off the back bumper of Ryan Catalano's, so 4 drivers all up inside of the top 10. Very close proximity, all on the same straightaway there from the uphill exit of 3A down into 4. And for people that are wondering too, that's turn 4. This is turn 7. Well, why are we jumping from 4 to 7? There's actually an infield carousel section if we were running the full course that makes up turns 4 into 5, 6 into the entrance of turn 7. Since we are not running that infield section, it goes from 4A over to turn 7, that straightaway there, cutting off that infield section. So there are actually a 4th, 5th, and 6th corner here. We're just not utilizing the full course today.
No, we're not. Only keep the labelings the same so that everyone knows. For an international driver that comes here, for example, they would just call each of those corners as they see them. They've never driven the other course. But that's some of the communication issues in a real world car you'd have for your road course ringers.
For me, I wouldn't even worry about numbers. I'd be, okay, that corner is scary. That one's kind of scary. That one's really scary. That one's terrifying.
Yeah, your scale starts at scary, Seth.
Yes.
And only goes up from there.
That's right. There's not a single corner that, oh, I like that one.
I'll tell you what, the S's are really nice and flowing. It takes a lot of discipline. You can see one of the biggest things about, I was actually having a big conversation with Pat McQuaid before this race about driver discipline, driver coaching bits and pieces. And one of the things that happens in road courses is the S's, the entire S's section, you've basically got to consider is one long chain of corners. It's not multiple corners, it's a chain. And the reason for that is your car position at the first corner sets up the way that you run. If you run it deep at that first set of corners, you're going to run it deep the whole way through. So you've got to set it up and try and carry, increase the minimum speed at all of those corners, but you can't increase it too much that you sacrifice the next corner of the chain.
Very similar
and that was
to
one of the big
S's
things
that we run at Watkins Glen. The only difference is it's downhill here at Sonoma. It's uphill at Watkins Glen.
And Watkins Glen is actually, you're on the power the whole way through there. You're actually trying to increase speed here. You're sort of just trying to, you are increasing speed, but it's balance is the big key.
How much does the curbing come into play? Because when we were on board with you, we watched you make your way around. It looked like the curbing doesn't necessarily shoot the car up into the air, at least in that section, as it does up here in the first section of the course. So can the curbs actually help you a little more than hinder you down there, or not
Yes,
nearly as
absolutely.
much?
So you will test every single one of these curbs in practice pre the race, and the reason for that is if we get down here to this second last corner, you actually want to use all the curb on the left-hand side of the road because it actually widens the track out. So it's about what racing surfaces are available to me. And curbs are absolutely one of those surfaces that you really want to try and use if you can.
Riding on board with DJ Daniels in the 96. There you see it. He's been down to the 11th position after he had to make an unscheduled pit stop. Still sporting that damage on the left front fender after clipping the tire barrier off the exit of turn 4. But he came down pit road around lap 12. He's taken advantage of these fresh tires, has now marched his way up to the 6th position, and he can see the top 5 up ahead of him there with Brock Whitehead and Ryan Catalano within striking range.
Yeah, so he's working his way forward. And again, he's got some work to do. So he will have his eyes on all of that. But the biggest thing is, remember, he's got an extra pit stop to pay to us. So right where he's running right now, relevant. Because I don't necessarily know that he can get home. If he can get home, he's got to really back everything up and underdrive the race car a little bit, save some fuel. That will actually help his tire health, though. So there is a small benefit to that.
Dobbs to pit road from the race lead. And watching the interval on the top left of our screen, it was down to under 8 seconds. We saw with that pan shot as he was making his way through the S's. The 61 of Scott Rankin was at the top of the hill, heading into the entrance of turn 7. And so Dobbs makes the dive onto pit lane here, coming to 47 laps to go. I have to wonder, is this maybe a little earlier than he planned? Maybe that spin, wearing the tires out a bit there off of turn 10, might have pushed that number a little bit further forward.
Yeah, I would say so. The other thing is there's very little fuel in the back end of the race car right now, so it is skipping around a heck of a lot more. Testing I did earlier in the week when I was saying it was 3 seconds worth of tire fall, not seeing those numbers. Now, that testing session I did with them full fuel, we have a limited fuel tank here today. So that would explain some of that. Tire wear is definitely a lot less, and I think it's actually being offset. As the fuel weight comes out of the car, you got to remember that the fuel weight makes up a portion of the car. fuel is actually lighter than water. So it's not, 100 liters of water equals, 100 liters of fuel equals 100 kilograms out of the race car. It's about 90 or so. I have no conversion to gallons for you, by the way, so I can't help with that. But it's not a huge amount, but it is absolutely the biggest thing. Is when you consider the way that the race car operates, is that fuel tank's in the rear end of the car. Well, if you take weight out of the rear end of the car, it jacks up the rear end of the car, the front lowers. You got to think about the rear and the front end as a seesaw kind of thing. You take weight off one end of the seesaw, the other end lowers. So it's a little bit like that, changes the way that the car handles, changes the way the car's balanced dynamically. So there's a little bit of that, but it's also where the weight is in the car. If it's ahead of the wheels, it makes less of an issue, but any weight behind the wheels has a pendulum style effect. You ever hear about Porsches doing Porsche things? That's exactly what it is. What's the biggest part of a race car? The engine. Porsche's playing it behind the rear wheels.
To give an idea of just what kind of an advantage Alan Dobbs had here over the rest of the field, he came down pit road, made a 4-tire pit stop, comes off pit road, still in the second position. He got out just ahead of DJ Daniels. So Dobbs will eventually cycle back to the front when Scott brings the 61 to the attention of his crew. We did have some other drivers come down pit road that same lap as Alan Dobbs as well. Ryan Catalano was on pit road. Same for Trey Whitehead. I believe Noah Jackson is on pit road this time around, as is indeed the leader Scott. So we will have Dobbs cycle back up to the front here momentarily. We're still waiting for Brock Whitehead, Patrick McQuaid, Chris Hubka, Chris Roberge, a couple of the others inside of the top 10 to make their first pit stop of the day.
One of the big things that I'm looking at in terms of when I'm making my pit stops is actually traffic. Because traffic's going to cost you more time than tires, pit stops, and those sorts of things will actually make. So I was looking for a hole in the traffic. I was watching where Alan came out, and there's a big hole in traffic right around where he was, which means that I can now make my pit stop. If I had a pit on the same lap of Alan, I would have come out in traffic, actually would have lost net time. So that absolutely one of the strategy call.
They call in road course racing the Delta. As Patrick McQuaid will stay out an extra lap here. You saw Brock Whitehead come down to the attention of his crew. Looks like Hubka and Roberge will also stay out. About 6 drivers that we're waiting on that will have to make a pit stop to complete this cycle. Dobbs about 3 seconds back to DJ Daniels. The only difference, though, is the tires. DJ 11 lap older tires to the Goodyears on the number 35 Chevrolet. Update on a couple more drivers here. Looks like our Daytona winner, Christopher Reese, has retired out of the race. He'll be credited with 19th place. Currently in 17th is Dalton McKenney, who is also out of the race. Matt Davies is on pit road making repairs to his Chewy Toyota. He's currently scored in 18th, but if he were able to get out there and complete just one more lap, he would jump from 18th to 17th. Tanner Marr multiple laps down in 16th position, and we've only got 2 other drivers that are off the lead lap, 1 lap down each for Peyton Holland and Larry Bell. 13 drivers on the lead lap right now. Christian Ruse, the last of those drivers, and he's got about a good, I'd say about a good 35 to 40 seconds ahead of Alan Dobbs, so not in any immediate danger of falling off the lead lap at this point in time.
I'll tell you what, Seth, fresh tires make a world of difference. Track temps also come down a fair way, which is helping massively as well. So a lot of things starting to go the way in terms of race pace. Yeah.
Chris Roberge's going to stay out here, and yeah, just looking at the lap times here, we saw a number of drivers running in the low 116s in the early portion of this race, kind of getting back to those low 116s again. Alan Dobbs, 116.404, a little less than 2/10 off his fastest lap of the day. DJ Daniels right now running in the low 117s, obviously at a tire deficit. Now DJ came to pit road back on lap 12. Is he in the category of being able to make it on one more pit stop here as well, or is he
With some
outside of
saving,
it?
yes. But he's right on the limit. He has to get himself to lap 43, I believe, was the first time the window will actually open. So
Okay.
if he's a lap shy of that, he's in the window. That's a lot of fuel and a lot of distance that he's got to try. So
Another 15 laps DJ Daniels would have to go before making the final pit stop of the day. See if he's able to do so. That's right on the cusp, right on the border of how far you'd be able to go. I mean, looking at the 9 of Chris Roberge, he's about to complete his 28th lap here without coming to pit lane, so we know you can at least get that far. Don't know if he'll try and stretch it to lap 29 or lap 30, or if he'll be coming to pit road this time by. He is one of 3 drivers still yet to come to pit road, Matt Mettler and Christian Ruse being the other 2. Good comeback there for Matt Mettler. We saw him on the pacing lap having a problem with his shifter braking, but he's been able to keep the car under power, been able to complete laps, and right now he's holding down a spot inside of the top 10. Granted, that's going to change after he makes the dive onto pit road, but still on the lead lap, still competitive, and still has a shot to maybe finish in the top 10 at the conclusion of this one.
yeah, that's the big thing. Make sure that you finish. Like I said to you, I had issues actually earlier in the day. Logged in for practice. I'm using a button clutch at the moment. I've gone from using paddle shifters, which I'm used to, and I've got a 24 hours on Le Mans to actually prep for this weekend. Oh, something just happened to Alan Dobbs. He just dropped 10 seconds.
And he's got damage. Damage on the right front. Not sure where that came from. We'll drop back and see if we can take a look. He's just lost the lead to DJ Daniels. And looks like he had a problem going up to turn 3. Same area Mark Gonzalez had an issue. It's those curbs. You talked about them. Curbing unsettling the race car. Back end steps out. Contact with the right front fender into the tire wall. And just like that, goes back to the second position, dealing with damage and now under fire for that second spot.
There's going to be a big battle on the racetrack here in a few laps because we're both catching DJ at a rate of knots as well.
Another slide there for
got speed
Alan
in it,
Dobbs
Steph.
too, and we saw his car kind of go away after he had his spin over in turn 10. I think it's probably safe to say you spin out, you spike those tire temperatures, it's going to be very unlikely you can find any way to cool them back down to an optimal temperature.
You've really got to drive. It is doable, but you've got to mega drive underneath yourself. Gear selections is the big thing that comes to mind. I'm short shifting everywhere to try and preserve those rear tires. Why? I want less torque onto those rear wheels. I really want it to bite less, swing around less, because that may not matter over 1 lap, but over 5 laps, over 10 laps, it does start to make a difference. So, end of stage 2?
Whitehead has had a problem. Yep, coming to the end of stage 2. That was up in between. Looks like the exit of the front straightaway up the hill to turn 1. Catalano and Trey Whitehead just got around him. He drops from 6th down to 8th. As lap 30 completed, DJ Daniels going to pick up a stage victory, his 8th of the season. Over Dobbs, Rankin, Gonzalez, Roberge. That's going to be the top 5. Looks like Ryan Catalano, Trey Whitehead, Brock Whitehead, Noah Jackson, Patrick McQuaid would be in line to get stage points here at the conclusion of stage number 2. And now 40 laps to the finish.
It is on.
So what are we looking at as the difference maker? Are we looking at tire preservation? Are we looking at lap times? Are we looking at the timing of the final pit stop? Or is it a combination of all 3?
Oh, it's a combination of all 3. So the pit window here is going to be anytime from lap 43 for me to 51. Dobbs will have to come a touch earlier than I will because he was in the pit lane a little bit early. He is using that section of the course trying to get the pass on. He knows that if he can clear DJ, he'll set sail.
Might be able to get him down here. Shows the nose to the inside into turn 11. DJ gonna move low, cut off that opportunity, runs a little wide though off the corner exit. Dobbs tries to get to that right rear quarter panel. He'll stay alongside here. We're gonna be double wide up the hill for turn 1. Unless somebody backs out of it. Doesn't look like anybody's gonna do it just yet. Throw a blanket over the top 3.
He got it done. Great move. Great move.
Dobbs back to the point. Daniels into second. Scott sitting there in third, looking on. Within striking distance. Chevy, Toyota here with less than 40 laps to go. These drivers duking it out to see who's going to carry the momentum into next week. This racetrack, it has played the villain today, and next week is our superhero villain-themed race in the Irish Hills at Michigan next Wednesday night at 9 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. Again as well, we're drawing close to the end of the regular season. Got the All-Star race coming up on July 2nd. Then we close out the season at Charlotte, Indianapolis, Nashville Superspeedway. Our 4th road course stop could be at Road America as Dobbs. Very squirrely there in the final corner. Rankin will draw a bead alongside. Not quite able to get to the inside here into the right-hander. We'll be at Road America for the next to last race of the regular season, our 4th of 5 road course stops here in 2025, and then we close out the regular season wild card race, the high banks of Daytona, where we started it all at the beginning of the season. Playoff grid will then be put together. Our final road course stop will be during the playoffs at the Charlotte Roval. It's like Christian Roos, Matt Mettler, they have each lost a lap after they came to pit road under green flag conditions. Right now, 11 drivers on the lead lap, and maybe about 20 seconds before Alan Dobbs, Scott Rankin, DJ Daniels will start encountering some drivers at the tail end of the lead lap.
There's a couple drivers just down the road, though, so... And Chris Roberge is going to be the first driver we'll pick off. That's going to be a fun one. Okay.
Doesn't look like that right front damage is affecting the 35 in terms of speed right now. Don't know if it would affect the handling, but how much attention does the pit crew give that when he eventually comes to pit road for his final pit stop, or do they just leave it alone?
They're just going to have to leave it alone. If he wants to win the race, they're just going to have to leave it. If he bothers to repair that car at all, he'll lose the leader. It's not worth it. As soon as Sonoma is incredibly difficult to get the pass done, so anything that you can do to buy a little bit of track position is crucial.
Battle closes up for the lead. You see top of the hill there. Battle also closing up for the 3rd position as Mark Gonzalez draws a bead on DJ Daniels for the final spot on the podium. About 4 laps difference on their tires. Both had to come to pit road pretty early on. Gonzalez came to pit road just after the completion of the first stage. DJ Daniels, of course, came to pit road prior to that on lap 12. Gonzalez tried to get the power down there off the exit of turn 11, couldn't quite do it. Daniels will hold him off at least for the moment. Again, we're keeping an eye here on DJ Daniels, see if he can get to that target lap. Looks like he's got another 8 circuits he'll have to make before he'd be in the window to make it the rest of the way. Battle for 5th happening as well, with some traffic up ahead. Ryan Catalano and Trey Whitehead. That is Larry Bell and Matt Davies up ahead of them. Not a battle for position between those 2 lap machines. Larry is only 1 lap down. Matt is 10 laps down in 16th, as Larry Bell will give way to Catalano here on the exit of turn 11. Troy Whitehead will look to make his way on by here in just a moment as well. Then a Toyota to deal with in that Chewy Camry just up ahead of Matt Davies. Mark Gonzalez has made the pass on DJ Daniels and now opens up some daylight heading into the final corner.
That'll be interesting to watch between those two because they're very close in terms of strategy. So, but I think the big thing is Gonzalez's race car is a lot more comfortable now that he's thought about his tires just a bit.
Teammates here, nose to tail. And this is at the tail end of the lead lap with the leaders right behind them. This is 10th and 11th place, Roberge and Hubka. As Dobbs will look to the inside of Roberge. Whoa, boy, both cars getting really squirrely. You said don't hit that inside curb. You both did it there.
Well, I couldn't see it because Dobbs' car was in the right. I was looking for some way to sort of read where to turn in. Couldn't see what I was looking for through that section of the racetrack, so I couldn't pick up a marker. Dobbs was he's desperate to get through the traffic because he knows if he gets through the traffic, he's got a little bit more of a buffer. This is a bad move from him. This is really risky.
Turn 10 did not pay off last time he tried to pass a race car. Now, granted, this is a teammate here as well that he's going by. Door left open. Here we go. Turn 11. We're going 3 wide. We're rubbing doors. Rankin gonna make the pass. Clears off the exit. Dobbs looking for the crossover. Another car up ahead to deal with, though. Another teammate to the 35, and Chris Hupka.
So now it's patience through the traffic. If I pressure Chris is going to make mistakes.
Traffic coming to play at Chicago Street Course. We saw it at Watkins Glen. No surprise it's doing the same here at Sonoma.
The biggest thing is I can start carrying momentum through the corners again. I tell you, dirty air was one thing I hadn't counted on. It was horrible behind. Alan, I felt like my front tires had just switched off. He's very aggressive. The problem with, I was talking to him, we're actually picking each other's brains about gear selections. I'm running different gears than most of the guys out here. And the reason I'm running different gears was traction. He's running quite aggressive on the gears. He's generally a gear lower through all the slower corners than I am. You can see that difference on the tires. He's really pressing on in terms of the tires. So he can't get the car to balance. Me, I'm a touch higher. I'm having struggles with the front end of the race car, not the rear.
Mentioned only 21 drivers took the green flag here tonight at Sonoma. There's going to be a lot of movement in the overall standings heading into next week when we get to the 2-mile speedway / super speedway of Michigan. Number of drivers up there in the point standings that were not in the field here tonight, including Jeffrey Kleinsma, who was 11th in points. Brandon Cooper, who's a 2-time winner on the season. He wasn't in the field here tonight. No Ryland Faccianato, who was 20th in points. We've already documented that Kyle Holden is no longer in the series, so you look at some of the drivers and where they're running right now, if they continue to run in those positions, Matt Mettler's going to climb up in the point standings. Mark Gonzalez will do the same. And the driver out in front here, that's 61 of Scott Rankin. He was 19th in points coming into this race, only 50 points out of 13th in the standings. One would have to assume that he finds victory lane here tonight. Talk about him up there in the playoff conversation with only 6 regular season races to go.
Yep, that was the plan coming in tonight. We needed to win one. And all I could think about coming to tonight was bad luck, bad luck, bad luck. Chicago tapped the wall slightly, cost myself a qualifying lap. So last time out at Watkins Glen, went too deep on cold tires into turn 1, different tire model, had no confidence on the brakes on lap 1, made a mistake because I felt I needed to. I didn't need to do that. Put myself out, hit a bump, finished multiple laps down. So when I talked about the need to stay smooth, the need to stay consistent, man, I've just had an unlucky run the last few months. And now it's about locking in, just making sure we drive it smooth and consistent. Very mistake-free sort of night was what I was targeting. And we've now got our way through it. Back to front. Last to first challenge. That was not easy. But you look at the difference. I've definitely made one big error tonight. That's the difference up and down the field, is when the errors happen where they are and how you rebound. Oh, Seth, this race car, I'm so hot. My face is bright red, I can tell you. I can feel it. There's no break around here. That is the biggest thing about Sonoma, is that there's no long straight. We barely use fifth gear. We just click fifth gear on the front straight. So I've had to sort of find a window to actually have a look at my fuel data, make sure that I've got it set up to put more than enough fuel in the car to the end of the race. That's a big thing. Don't want to run out. But more than that, I actually want to go and do some celebratory runs through the drag strip no matter where I finish, because this place is difficult and just surviving is not easy.
At work inside the office here at Sonoma, as we saw the 31 of Matt Mettler make the dive onto pit lane. Looks like DJ Daniels is doing the same, so it looks like he did get to that target lap. Now he should be able to make it the rest of the way.
He's right on the bubble, so he's got some work to do to make it, but it is now. He was on possible looking in, so work to do in the final run. That's why he was off the pace so much as well, was because he had work to do in terms of fuel. This final run should be a lot faster for him, but he will need to fill the tank. He's still got work to do.
Of course, you talked about Alan Dobbs just looking to keep the consistency going coming into this race. Now, he's got the benefit of 6 trips to victory lane for DJ Daniels winning on early in the season at Auto Club. He's been consistent as well, only has the 1 victory, but you know, you talk about consistency and having that good momentum when the playoffs begin. The points are going to get reformatted. All the playoff points are going to be given out. DJ Daniels with a stage win here tonight, so he's got at least 8 stage points coming his way as far as playoff points are concerned. And that's not including what he could build off of here in the final few races of the regular season. So we can't give the championship to Dobbs just yet. He's obviously looking like the favorite statistically, but we got to remember, all the points are going to get reformatted. All the playoff points will make a difference into what the gap's going to be, but everybody's going to be all close in the same neighborhood again when the checkered flag waves at Daytona and we get ourselves geared up for the first playoff race at Chicagoland.
100%. And remember, it's, you know, he's had a brilliant season, but he's got to lock it in. Realistically, Alan right now should be just focusing on those playoff races, just having a plan. That plan may actually be stage win, stage win, stage win, stage win, because that is so crucial, gives him more buffer. It means that he can head into those races and he can make a mistake and he can still make that chase, you know, that championship fall. That's a big marker when you can put yourself in a window to do something like that. So
that's a great point. Give yourself a bit of a cushion, a little bit of breathing space in case you have one of those nights that you can't control. Suffer a DNF and give all those points back, as this battle will not go away. I feel like we focused on about maybe half this race on Ryan Catalano and Brock Whitehead. Doesn't matter what position they're battling for, they always seem to find each other on the racetrack. About 0.7 of a second between those two, as this is the battle right now for P6. Actually, they may end up closing up here and making it a 3-car fight for 5th as they're reeling in that machine of Trey Whitehead, the number 23 machine. Now this is obviously a Denny Hamlin throwback, but I love the sponsor on it. The sponsor is Send It.
That's brilliant. That's a man having fun. Trey, probably not the road course for that one, buddy. Might want to pick a different week.
Yeah. Hey, maybe next week in Michigan. You know, home with the slide job.
Oh, hang on. Might have just happened to Alan.
That's through the S's. Definitely slow. See if we can find out what happened to him. Was running in 2nd place, still in 2nd. Oh, again, more traffic issues. This time, top of the hill over in turn 7. Trying to make his way by Larry Bell. It's the 2nd time we've seen him have an issue with traffic, and is that maybe just a little lack of patience there, or is that the case of maybe trying to make up lap time and you realize you're faster than the car ahead and you're just assuming it's going to stick when you dive to their inside?
Yeah, I mean, a little of both. He feels like he was what he said on the radio. So it's not as simple as it's all without sitting down and actually having a look at it. But you can set yourself up and you can telegraph that stuff. And this is where the endurance racing advantage really comes in, is traffic management. Traffic management is something that just can't be taught. It's patience. It is a lot of patience, but it is costing you a little bit of time. So the biggest thing is, the thing that's going to cost you, there are 3 things that are going to cost you major time on a race day. One of them, particularly at road courses, particularly at short road courses where there is a big time deficit. One is mistakes. You cannot come in here. I would rather see a guy running a second and a half off the pace than make a mistake and make no mistakes and make a mistake every couple of laps. You know, you cannot afford to be at the top if you cannot afford to have that pace if you're making mistakes. It's actually far better to back it down. Number 2 is traffic. And traffic is something that comes up so few and far between for this series. We've got a good pack of guys. And the thing is, the other thing that I talked about already is how difficult and how busy this track is. It's very difficult to get a read. There is no break. Normally, on most race courses, think about Watkins Glen, whereby you've got a lot of breathing room. You can take a look at your relative. You can take a look at what's going on around you on the straights.
And I want to go back there to that incident. You see Noah Jackson moving around the outside there of turn 4 to let Scott on by, but I want to go back to that incident there with Alan Dobbs and Larry Bell, because I've been in the situation Larry Bell is in. We talk about how difficult it is to maneuver around this racetrack when you're a front runner. It's just as difficult when you're a driver mid-pack to rear of the field waiting for an opportunity to let the leaders on by. You gotta pick and choose your spots of where you're gonna do it, because there's areas where a driver can feel comfortable swinging wide, letting somebody on by, but there's other areas of the racetrack that if you try and put yourself in an uncomfortable position, you're more than likely going to have an issue. We've got some smoke here off the final corner. Looks like somebody's had a moment in turn 11. That's Mark Gonzalez, who, oh, actually, no, it's Mark on pit road. Who was that? Was that DJ Daniels? Nope, he's on pit road.
Peyton Holland. It was Peyton Holland.
Peyton Holland in the 19. But yeah, I mean, with the 43 of Larry Bell there, yeah, he could have probably run a little bit wider there, opened up the door for Alan Dobbs to make his way on by, but could have also put himself in a compromised position. We have to remember, too, Larry Bell is in a battle right now with Christian Ruse, with Matt Mettler, to try and get the 13th position. He's on the same lap now as Peyton Holland and Mark Gonzalez. There's positions, there's points out there to be gained. While you want to let the race leaders on by, you also want to do it where you're not losing or giving up time to the drivers that you're actually battling as well.
Well, more importantly, though, something you actually haven't talked about is something I haven't progressed. We started off at the top of practice, track that hadn't been run on. Halfway through practice, the track had actually improved by about a second a lap. So there was a lot of improvement there. Since then, the racetrack's actually improved majorly compared to that. But it's also degraded. But it's not degrading in the way that you think. What it actually is right now I'm out in those marbles, those things, they are horrible. Why are they horrible? They stick to your tires. Your tires are all nice and hot and warm. The marbles are stone cold. They go on there. They start to jack up the tire. The tire's less in contact with the ground, and then they sort of wear off. You gotta use them. So you don't want to be running wide very often. That's a long stay on pit lane for Mark Gonzalez. Something might have happened there. But marbles have not been there until probably about 3/4 of practice. If drivers went out at that point in time, they didn't make, and then they just get worse, and they get worse, and they get worse. And they form off the racing line, and Gonzalez's left rear tire was actually in the marbles. So that actually could have played a factor right there.
Big hit there, right or left side of his car. Left rear first, then left front. That's why he still sits on pit road. I was kind of curious about that lengthy stay on pit road because he had just pit not too long ago for his final pit stop of the day. Was wondering why he was back on pit lane. Obviously, we now know the reason why is Alan Dobbs comes down to the attention of his crew. And hold the phone. Let me check something here. Oh, these drivers had a faster pair here today that I didn't realize because I just saw that car kind of pop out in the back and the front, brand new race car. He's used the faster pair and he's down and away.
Mark Gonzalez is actually done for the day. He's been one of the better drivers at road courses this season, so
he was in line for a top 5.
That's surprising.
Sure.
Yeah. I wonder if he'd already used the faster pair on something minor earlier on.
Let me double check and see. Yeah, he had used the faster pair already. Trey Whitehead on pit road here for his final stop. Same for Ryan Catalano. Right now, running down the list, it'd be easier to name off the drivers that haven't used a faster pair than those that have. Race leader Scott Rankin, 4th place Brock Whitehead, Patrick McQuaid, Chris Hubka, Chris Roberge, Peyton Holland, Christian Ruse. That's it. Those are the drivers running that still have a faster pair available if they so choose to use it.
Wow. And again, that's race management. That's knowing what you got available to you. Know when to turn it off. But like I said, it's so busy around here. Actually adjusting pit stops and things is you got to find a moment. You got to get your black box open. Realistically, drivers have a couple of ways of actually interacting with this mouse and keyboard. Absolutely. But you don't want to be reaching for your mouse, particularly. I said it's busy. I can barely take my hand off the steering wheel. I can't reach over and grab my mouse. It's out of reach for me at this point in time. I've got buttons on the steering wheel to allow me to do that. That's one of the things I talk about from week to week is that drivers here, most of them, some of them will have a crew chief. I think DJ Daniels actually runs with a buddy of his that comes in and spots him, talks to him about strategy, what guys are doing. There's an extra character over in that Discord channel I know of that helps out somewhere. I don't know what exactly his role is or who he really helps. So he'll have a little bit of help. But the bulk of the field will be doing their own strategy and trying to not make mistakes, and trying to not hit curbs, and trying to not hit back. You see what I mean? It is a busy job.
It's a laundry list.
Don't lock a brake. Don't spin your tires. Don't hit the fence. Don't bounce over curbs. You know what? I think I'm going to retire.
A lot more don'ts than I hear do's right there.
Do have fun. That's the big one.
There you go. These two having some fun as they're duking it out for the 4th position. Brock Whitehead, we were on board with Noah Jackson. They made their way around the lap machine of Matt Davies, who just made his final pit stop of the day. Jackson started mid-pack, has worked his way now up into the top 5. Highest driver in the point standings without a victory so far this season, 145 points back. Gained 2 spots in the standings after last week at Kentucky, as looks like he and Whitehead both going to dive onto pit road from 4th and 5th this time by. When do we see the 61 on pit road here? 22 laps to go.
I'm waiting. I want fresh tires at the end. Fresh tires, light race car.
Dobbs in 2nd, pitted 2 laps ago. DJ Daniels in 3rd, 4 laps ago. Still waiting as well on Patrick McQuaid, Chris Hubka, Chris Roberge, 3 teammates out of Hubka Motorsports. Peyton Holland also still has to make a pit stop before the conclusion, and then it's going to be close. I'm pretty sure Christian Ruse still has to make a pit stop as well. Somewhere in the vicinity of about 7 to 9 laps remaining. More drivers have retired out of the race. We documented Mark Gonzalez. Right now, he looks like he potentially would finish in 17th. Larry Bell has also taken his number 43 behind the wall, currently slated 14th, but may finish in 16th. It all depends on Matt Davies and Tanner Marr. They would both have to complete roughly about another 12 to 13 laps to leapfrog those 2 drivers, move from 16th, 17th to 14th, 15th, and drop Gonzalez and Larry Bell down to 16th and 17th. Dalton McKinney, Chris Reese, Scotty Stevens, and Jonathan Cogswell have all been out of the race for some time, about 30 plus laps or more.
Oh boy. Heart rate's a little bit elevated. A few moments on that lap. That's what I mean. This place is so difficult. A place like Watkins Glen is so simple. It's a great road course to sort of learn because it's not busy. There's not a huge deal going on. You know, so.
Patrick McQuaid's in. His final pit stop of the day.
You're doing a great job.
These two have been together the whole race. Hubka and Roberge. Roberge 16th in points coming to this one. Dropped 3 spots in the standings after Kentucky last week. Hubka stayed stationary 17th in points from the start to the conclusion in the Bluegrass State. Both right hovering near that bubble spot to get that final points paying position into the postseason playoffs.
I think they're just having fun, though. They'd be chilling out. A little bit of Chris Cup action going on. They love it. There's always a battle on for who's going to be the best finishers of the Chris as well.
And what was
Because
it
we got
you
so
said?
damn many of them in the league.
And what was it you said? You'd rather have a driver that runs slightly slower than the race leaders that keeps it on the racetrack than a driver that tries to get everything out of it every lap and makes mistakes. That fits the bill there for the 77, the 9, and the 5. They've all kept it on the racetrack. They haven't had to use the faster pair, no damage. And they're right now in line of coming away with a top 10 performance here for their efforts.
Never hit the wall. The big thing is never hit the wall, never had damage, never had spins. So...
mystery solved. 20 to go. Scott brings that 61 Toyota onto pit lane for the final stop of the day. Chris Roberge ran long on the last cycle of pit stops, so expect him to run a little bit longer here, as he's only got 19 laps on his tires currently. We'll follow the gap. As, look at this, Scott on pit road. Alan Dobbs is just now cresting the hill up in turn 3 over into the braking zone of turn 4. So a lot of ground he's got to make up here in the span of time that Scott completes his pit stop and merges back onto the racetrack.
Let's give you a little bit of a tire update as well. Front left, 63%. Front right, 60%. Left rear, 67%. So tires, like I said, tires actually wearing quite significantly. And we are off and feeding into turn 1. But the big problem is now I'm going to bring these babies.
So are we looking for Q laps here, at least in the first couple of corners?
Nope.
We're just babying the thing.
We just want to baby the thing. We want to bring it home. Particularly this lap right here. The second lap's actually quite good for levels. When I was practicing a little bit earlier in the week, the second lap had a little problem. Rear did not want to plant in the middle of that corner as well. But they're just like ice. The update moved these tires to the same model that the IMSA series, the GTPs, are actually on. One of the biggest things you can do is you actually take a lot of life out of the tire by leaning on them quite consistently. One of the iRacers have up until now talked about tire temperatures. I don't think temperatures is the key conversation that we'll be talking about moving forwards. I think it will be pressures, and you can keep the pressures lower, which offers you a better surface. When the pressures come up effectively, the middle of the tire blows up more than the edges of the tire do, which means you get a smaller contact patch because, well, the only piece of the tire in contact with the ground's middle of the tire if it crowns. So I think it's going to be a lot more of a pressure-based system moving forwards.
Keep an eye back here. This 3-car battle for 5th. Brock Whitehead, Noah Jackson, they've already been to pit road. Roberge still has to pit. Oh my gosh! Rides up the pit wall there after he got loose on the exit. The left front tire gripped against that concrete wall. It popped him up in the air. He was able to bring it back down to earth and keep it pointed in the right direction, but a wild ride there for the Monster Energy Chevrolet.
That's one of the things you got to really worry about. Where is the highest torque parts of the racetrack? It's everything where your first gear, so final corner and the turn 6 hairpin as well. Very, very difficult. So I think what you'll see is just a mistake. And he just grabs too much throttle and goes wide.
We saw it live.
Marbles.
Let's
See
watch
marbles?
it again. Look at this.
Not too bad. He's not too bad. He's actually saved that one quite well.
So Roberge keeps the thing going. Less than 20 laps to go here. The gap, little under 30 seconds from Rankin back to Dobbs. Another 14 seconds back to DJ Daniels in 3rd. Trey Whitehead, another 22 seconds back in 4th, and he is the last driver right now on the lead lap. 5th place on down, all -1 to the race leader. Well, we've had a blast with the... oh, go ahead.
I was going to say, I think it's just been one of those days where everyone...
We have had a blast with the themed races here this season. You go back to the start of the season at Auto Club, the Looney Tunes themed races. We then went to Pocono for the sports themes. You see the sports theme here, the Melbourne Stars on this 61. That featured at the Tricky Triangle.
That's been a feature on the car ever since.
There you go. You got the throwback race we had at the Lady in Black, the Track Too Tough to Tame Darlington last week. We had the Children's Hospital fundraiser race at Kentucky. Next week, we continue on the theme races. We're actually going to have a trifecta of themed races here with Michigan, the All-Star race, and the Charlotte Motor Speedway. Next week, it's the Superhero Villain themed race at the 2-mile racetrack. The All-Star race will have a special scheme theme. Not sure exactly what that entails, but can't wait to find out. And then, of course, July 9th, we'll be at the D-shaped mile-and-a-half Charlotte Motor Speedway for the patriotic themed race. And then only a couple weeks removed from there, we go to Nashville Super Speedway where we get the music theme. Of course, Nashville, Tennessee, very well known for its varying types of music. Maybe more country than anything, but it's also known for its rock and roll, its jazz, its R&B, it's everything.
It's going to be a tricky one to pick what I want to do because, you know, I think the bait, for the music one's probably going to be the hardest because superheroes, everyone's got a superhero they can't. But music, what does it mean to you as... Might even have to get a Google form out there to ask questions of all the drivers what they picked. I think will be the biggest thing because to me that's really, really important. Is that music will mean a lot for a lot of people.
I feel like I'd be obligated. I can't remember the guy's name, but I have a Nashville story where I ended up flying into Nashville for a Bristol race weekend. I rented a car at the Nashville airport, and I wish I could remember the guy's name, but apparently didn't have a clue who the guy was getting ready to leave the airport after the vacation was over. Had left the car at the airport and everything. I'm walking with my buddy through the airport. They have a Tootsie's. They have all these live music areas inside of the Nashville airport. I see a guy's name up on a banner on a stage in one of the restaurants, and I think to myself, why does that name seem familiar? I see the guy on the stage. I look at the profile picture of the guy I rented the car from. Sure enough, I rented my car from a country singer that was playing live in that airport the day I was flying out.
No way.
Yep.
So, that's, I mean, those are stories, right? You're just chilling out. I don't know if you've seen Tony Hawk's Twitter.
I haven't.
The amount of times that he gets that sort of stuff. He'll go through like a TSA, getting onto a plane somewhere, and the guys will be sitting there going, I know your face from somewhere. No idea who it is. You look a lot like that Tony Hawk guy. Oh, look. Right, he's Anthony Hawk. You must have been named after him. He gets a lot of that.
I love it. Less than 15 to go here at Sonoma. Things winding down here in the Napa Valley. Still over 30 seconds back to second place, Alan Dobbs, who after the adventures he's had today, just looking for a solid outing. DJ Daniels has had some issues today as well in third. I mean, heck, Scott Rankin, the race leader, spun around, turn one, lap one. Nearly got stuck in the ditch there just before the concrete wall. Been able to mount a comeback here all the way through this race. Got the race lead, has not looked back, and now looking to close it out. Oh, the marbles!
Yeah, very cognizant of that. You're right, I had to basically stop the car and then barely touch the throttle as I turned it back, so that's how low grip it is. Mistakes are still being made, Seth. Mistakes are still being made.
See those visible
I'm out of
marbles
breath.
there on the exit of these corners. You can see them right there, laying off to the side on the exit of turn 10. They've played havoc with a number of drivers. Mark Gonzalez ran into them. He's out of the race as a result. And what's the case here with the mistakes? Is it just still continuing where this racetrack, the elements are coming into play? Is it the fact, as you mentioned, there's no let-up? I mean, I can only imagine the level of exhaustion right now with having absolutely no chance to relax. Is that taking its toll here and causing some of the late race mistakes?
It certainly is. Just normally most racetracks, like I said, I'm preparing for Le Mans this weekend in a Ferrari GTP. But the biggest thing about Le Mans is I actually find that really, really difficult. There's a lot of straight around there. Matt Davies just another issue. And the reason that I find that place hard to drive, and I was talking to a few buddies about this, is not the one-lap pace. One lap's very easy to drive, but there's so little to do on the straights, and they're so frequent and so long that you get bored. This is the complete opposite. I am sweating. I am hot. I made sure that I took a drink. I went to the bathroom before races. These are all the sorts of things you got to do before intense races. Because if you don't, I'm talking to you at the same time. Like I said, I feel like I've been holding my breath for the last hour and 15 minutes.
Taking you through the field, showing you the adventurous days these drivers have had so far in this one. Alan Dobbs, saw that the lowest he's run is 4th position, but we have to remember too, that was because he had built up such a huge lead that when he left pit road after the cycle of a pit stop, he was still up inside of the top 5. Trey Whitehead has had to be patient, working his way up through the field. Clearly that car is taking on a faster pair after he was sporting some significant damage on the nose for about 2/3 of this race. He's got a net gain of 14 spots from the start of this one. Noah Jackson remains consistent, as he's currently the final driver up inside of the top 10. That new look on his Toyota. Different font as well here. He's been normally running the Joe Gibbs font when he had the DeWalt car, but not exactly sure what font that is on that Toyota Camry. Ryan Catalano mentioned that this last month has been phenomenal for him. He has been rapidly climbing his way up through the point standings, right around that cut line, 17th in overall points and holding down 6th place. Brock Whitehead currently in the 7th position. He hasn't fallen out of the top 10 all day long. Chris Roberge, 5 laps ago, made his final pit stop, as he's currently holding on to the 8th position. Patrick McQuaid looking for another top 10 run, as he's currently in 9th, and his teammate Chris Hupka behind him holding down the 10th position. And there you see, just ahead of race leader Scott Rankin, they're already 1 lap down, about to go a 2nd lap down here, closing in on 10 laps to go.
And this is important for these guys, because if they'd had a 0x or 4x or less race, they actually get a bonus point here if they stay at 1 lap down.
Great point.
So there is actually a reason for these guys to fight a little bit here.
Everybody should be able to make it the rest of the way on what they've got in the tank, including Matt Mettler, who is one of the sooner drivers to hit pit road, but if the math checks out, he should be able to make it 29 laps here to the finish. So now everybody's got what they've got. Now it's a matter of battling the race car, battling the racetrack, maybe battling some traffic here if you're the race leader. But again, we mentioned at the top of the broadcast, and it has stayed true all race long. Just execute. Do not put a wheel wrong.
Oh boy. Something just happened to DJ Daniels and Chris Roberge. I think they might have got in.
Both going straight still here as they make their way down. Oh, looks like maybe DJ pulling aside here, maybe giving the spot back, depending on what happened between those two. Let's take a look and see.
Roberge might not know that he's fuel saving.
Oh, is that what's going on?
DJ Daniels just said, mate, I just lost where I was on the racetrack. He basically stopped focusing. So remember how we were talking about this being a little bit more monotonous and, you know, draining? Well, yeah, he's drained.
And you'll see here, DJ Daniels pulls off to the right, letting Chris Roberge on by. Not for position. Roberge is currently off the lead lap. DJ Daniels is currently last car on the lead lap in the 3rd position. Our best battle on the racetrack, and I'm not really even sure it's a battle, I feel like they're still just kind of continuing to ride with each other, is Patrick McQuaid and Chris Hupka. You see Hupka right up to the back bumper of that Alpha Lion Chevrolet. Roberge, McQuaid, Hupka, they've kind of been nose to tail all race long, but they've not really battled each other to move on by for position. So we'll see if Hupka puts any pressure here on McQuaid, as this is the ongoing 9th position under contest. It's safe to say McQuaid's locked in on points, but Hupka is still a question mark here with this
Yeah.
regular season coming to a close.
I think both of these guys will just be cruising around. Realistically, if you look at the way that they've driven all day, when I was actually up in behind them just a couple laps ago, I actually saw Hubka lifting for McQuaid, allowing him to get into corners nice and safely.
If we're looking right now, obviously as we get closer and closer towards the end of the regular season, we'll be able to make check boxes of drivers that we know are locked into the postseason and drivers that mathematically maybe fall into the must-win category at Daytona. That will more than likely not be advancing into the playoffs. Right now, we could call Alan Dobbs obviously locked in with his 6 victories, DJ Daniels locked in, Mark Gonzalez with 2 victories, Brandon Cooper with 2 wins, Christopher Reese, our Daytona winner. Those drivers look like they'd get in through their victories. Tanner Marr is still a question mark here. A DNF here tonight, 17th. He had that Talladega win, but he came into tonight's race currently situated in the 28th position in points, so I don't know exactly what the cut line is that where you have to be above for a win to count towards a playoff spot. One would certainly assume as well as we look at the point standings and the gap back to around that cut line, Noah Jackson, Patrick McQuaid, Trey Whitehead, you could make clear cases for them to already be locked in on points if they keep the consistency up here down the remainder of this regular season. But then it gets really hairy down there from about maybe 7th down to that 16th, 17th position. A lot can change between now and Daytona.
A lot can change indeed. And, you know, tonight's road course as well. Road courses always throw a cat amongst the pigeons. Guys that have had inconsistent seasons that are looking for a strong... they'll be out there. And again, make sure you finish inside that top 10 tonight. Make sure you're out there on the racetrack. Looking at that list of drivers that are in at the moment and seeing if there's anybody that's actually not here. Because again, there'll be a few guys that didn't necessarily want... Remember, the rule for making points was start, do one lap, and then retire, but you had to show up here tonight. There was no, I just get points for not showing up.
Trey Whitehead going to make his way by Chris Hubka, who for a moment had a nose out off turn 11 on Patrick McQuaid. McQuaid gets him back, and now Whitehead will set his sights on that number 77 machine. Third road course stop of the season. We got one more before the regular season comes to a close. It'll be at Road America in Elkhart Lake, Michigan.
Brilliant racetrack, Road America.
It's got some difficult corners, though. I'll tell you what, Moraine Sweep, Canada Corner.
Pulling the car up consistently for Canada Corner, not easy.
We'll have to get confirmation, but one would assume that more than likely, same type of deal like we had here at Sonoma, where we wouldn't have stages end. Oh, what? Somebody's bumper was right there. I don't know who in the world that was, but someone's bumper just flew into the nose camera here on the front of Trey Whitehead.
Might be Peyton Holland.
Let's try and solve that mystery. Yeah, I think that's exactly who it is. Take a look at this. Peyton Holland coming down into turn 11, loose under braking, back end comes around. Thing is, though, that's over here in the center of turn 11. The back bumper still stays intact, so it may not necessarily have been him. Let's see if we can find who that driver was. We'll get back to Trey Whitehead. We'll see who's up ahead of him and Patrick McQuaid. Oh, there is some smoke up ahead of the two of them as well. Is it Matt Davies in the 32? No. We're going to solve this mystery. We're going to figure out who it is.
Ladies and gentlemen, hello and welcome to Seth Cole, Scott Rankin, and the mystery. Flatout Racing Network? No, Flatout Racing Mystery.
I'm not sure who it's from. Let's look at the outer portion of Trey Whitehead here. Yeah, there's the bumper. No, I guess that is off Peyton Holland. It does look like it's got some M&Ms on there, like it's a brown bumper, but that would have fallen off even before Peyton had his problem over there in turn 11 then. Doesn't look like it's made any damage here to Trey Whitehead's Toyota, though. Bounced out of his path right when he got to it. Well, are we surprised? 5 laps to go, and the battle here for 6th place between Ryan Catalano and Brock Whitehead is back at it again. These two have been tooth and nail for spots inside of the top 10 all night long, and they're going to renew that rivalry once more with less than 5 laps to go here at Sonoma. Big send into turn 7 for Brock will close up the gap to about a car length heading for the S's.
So now he's got to set him up. Now he's going to be patient. They're both ailing on time at this point in time. Be patient. Don't get antsy. The biggest thing that you can do right now is get antsy with the throttle. Dirty air plays a factor. It may not be some of those bigger oval tracks. Speeds are a little bit lower, but dirty air is definitely there. It's this section. Dirty air factor.
Here comes Brock.
Whoa!
Whoa! Look at that! What a send right to the back bumper, maybe into the back bumper in the entrance of turn 11. There's not much in it. About 2 lap fresher tires on the 71 to the 92. And you saw as they came off of turn 10 there as well, a number of drivers have gotten off course and they've brought the dirt and debris onto the racing surface. You saw it getting kicked up off the rear tires there of the 92 car when we saw them make their way through that section of the course. A little bit of dirt as well I saw right there off the exit of turn 2.
Tires are really worn at this point. One of the favorite things that I've seen since this debris system's been in is the amount of stuff that gets out there on the racetrack, how quickly it cleans up. It's so cool to actually feel the car all of a sudden not turn in. We have a great thing like debris flags. There are a yellow and orange stripe flag that lets you know that there's debris out there. Grip conditions have been reduced. Just adds that extra element to the racing.
Less than 3 laps to go. I'm still here trying to figure out. I've never done it before. I've never interviewed my co-commentator for a post-race wind-down victory lane interview. What do I ask you? You've told me everything in this race. I've got no questions.
How's the weather in Australia? What did you eat for breakfast? What do you put in your coffee? Do we need to do a drug test after the race? Is the car need to go through post-race tech? All important questions.
Yeah.
How much fuel is left? What are the tires like?
Hot.
Very hot. I'll tell you, the front of the race car I don't want to turn no more. Hardest part of the race was actually when I called Alan. The car just switched off. It literally felt like the front end of the race car switched off.
Well, we've seen those brake rotors glowing as drivers make their way through turn 11. See them fiery hot there. 2 laps to go at Sonoma. Scott looking for that white flag to make this thing official. Dobbs a distant 36 plus seconds back in second. DJ Daniels going to close out the podium as he's the last driver on the lead lap in third. Looks like that battle is opened up between Catalano and Brock Whitehead. Catalano firmly in control of 6th. Close for 9th between McQuaid and Hubka. Don't know if anything will come of that as they are bumper to bumper up the hill through 2, 3, and 4.
Put the bumper to him. Come on, Chris. Rough him up a little bit. You know, Pat will take it, you know, happily as well. They'd probably be cackling and having a great old time.
Well, we will keep
it's all
an eye
about,
on
you know,
this
it's what
battle
racing
here
about.
for sure on the final lap. It's the closest one we've got right now. Of all the drivers up inside of the top 10, this is 9th place right now. Also consider the fact here too, if the two of them do get together and their nearest competitor in 11th is a full lap behind them, so more than likely they'd get around and still net a top 10 finish, whether it be 9th or 10th. Talked about that bonus point though for a 0 incident, so that's also important. If they're gonna race, they want to make sure that they race clean and still keep themselves eligible for that bonus point. As there you saw the white flag displayed. Final lap here at Sonoma. He ran down the different mistakes that cost him at Chicago Street Course. Watkins Glen had an issue right out of the gate. First turn, first lap of this race. But the consistent lap times, the pit strategy, just halfway to go down the hill here through the S's. Scott Rankin, last couple of corners here. Some crucial ones, though.
There's a little bit of mist, and it's here in the corner of my eye, Seth. It has been the hardest 12 months of my life. And racing and around, I love being in this league. I love chatting to these guys. I love racing with them. So after everything that's happened in my last 12 months, this means a lot to me.
Treated this race as must win. Closes out the deal here this evening. First win of the 2025 season at Sonoma. Scott Rankin will win his way into a playoff position. EJ Daniels barely finishes on the lead lap as he was the car just ahead of Scott through that braking zone of the final turn 11. Dobbs will bring it home in second position. Dobbs and Daniels both with stage victories here tonight, so an extra playoff point in their postseason bucket. You should go over and do a burnout in that little ditch divot where you got spun out over in turn 1. That's kind of like how Chase Elliott did the burnout in where he ran into the tire wall at the Charlotte Roval. And Scott not taking his own advice. He's full out into the marbles.
No, I want to stay as far away from that ditch as I physically... down for it.
First time in 3 weeks that a Toyota goes back to victory lane. Brandon Cooper, last driver in a Camry to do it at Martinsville. Chevrolet has had the last 2 victories with Alan Dobbs. Where is Hupka going?
No idea. I think he's taking the alternate road course.
Yep. Is there any way to get to the drag strip here?
There is. You actually can get to the drag strip.
I know that in NR 2003, if you drive backwards on the drag strip, eventually it will disqualify you for going backwards, but there is a glitch spot that sends you to space. I don't think they have that here in iRacing, but...
I think DJ's out of fuel.
Yeah, well, maybe. 25 laps for him here on this last run.
Lining up for post-race photos.
So there you have it, your podium finishers there. Rankin with the win, Dobbs second, Daniels in third. After a grueling race for these drivers here this evening in the Napa Valley at Sonoma. And we'll now show you the full finishing results from this one. As Trey Whitehead started 18th, brings it home in 4th. Noah Jackson, another top 5 run in 5th. Brock Whitehead, Ryan Catalano, they were battling all race long. Brock will better Ryan for 6th. Chris Roberge played the strategy, ran long on those 2 final pit stop cycles. He'll get 8th. Patrick McQuaid, another top 10 run for him in 9th. And Chris Hupka is going to complete the top 10. Peyton Holland will finish 3 laps down 11th. Christian Ruse in 12th. 13th for Matt Mettler. Matt Davies finishes in 14th. I believe he was the last driver to finish under power, though I think he finished the race on pit road. These drivers finished out of the race behind the wall. Larry Bell, Mark Gonzalez, 2-time winner. Our Talladega winner, Tanner Marr. Dalton McKenney, who's been consistent this season. Early retirement for him in 18th. Daytona winner Chris Reese, 19th Scotty Stevens, and then completing the 21-car field here tonight, Jonathan Cogswell. A number of drivers suffering DNFs here this evening that were up there inside of the top 10, top 16 in the point standings. Cogswell, Gonzalez, Davies. We'll have to see where this positions all of them in relation to next week. Dalton McKenney as well in the 46. Where does this set everybody up when we get to the Irish Hills at Michigan next week?
There you go, Seth.
Right
I knew you
down
wanted the drag strip.
There we go.
Time for a post-race show.
Engage
Couple
the
boys to chat to
parachute.
at this point. Oh! I missed it. I thought I found it. I was coming back for another lap. Hey, either way, that'll end the post-race celebrations. Oh boy, that was tough.
Certainly looked like it. I mean, you talked about, you know, all the facets of this race, all the different things that could go wrong. And, you know, while we looked at the finishing results there, yourself, Dobbs, DJ, Daniels, it wasn't a walk in the park. Every single one of you had to deal with adversity at some point. A lot of it in the early going. Dobbs had his around midway portion. I mean, I guess I said this at the beginning of the race too. Maybe better to have the issue in the early going so you have more laps to be able to counter that rather than have the issue second half of the race where the lap amount is a lot less.
Yeah, look, that's one thing, but the other thing is when it happens back at the race goes right out, you have a little moment. You may not lose a spot. So it's a catch-22 because having it happen early, yeah, you get all this to make it back up. But at the same time, you've got to make sure that you overtake cars, and overtaking cars was a big, big difficulty for a lot of people tonight.
Indeed it was. We saw a number of lead lap cars have some difficulty getting around slower traffic, and we saw a lot of drivers that were battling for position have some issues in certain sections of the racetrack in side-by-side racing. Let's see if we can dial up a couple of our other podium finishers here tonight. Let's get a hold of the driver that came into this race with a 2-race winning streak. Finishes runner-up this evening at Sonoma. Let's get a hold of Alan Dobbs. Hey, Alan, Scott and Seth up here in the FRM booth. You got us?
Yeah, I got you.
Wild race it seemed for just about everybody in the field. It didn't matter if you finished at the front, middle, rear of the field. Everybody had to deal with the elements that came into play here at this very tricky road course. You yourself ran into some issues trying to get around some traffic, had to deal with some damage midway portion of the race. Tires were obviously a big concern here today as well. Obviously, a second-place performance, and we saw in the statistics you didn't fall any further than 4th position, but really had to fight that race car here a good portion of this event.
Yeah, I mean, the last 4 or so laps of the run, the rear tires, you could definitely tell were getting worn down. Yeah, I mean, the biggest problem tonight was a couple of the lap cars that if this was an actual race, they'd have been parked for not meeting minimum speed. And then one of them, you know, intentionally hooked me in turn 2. So, yeah, I don't think he's going to be happy about the outcome of that.
I mean, that's the difficulty. The biggest thing, Seth and I spent a lot about it here tonight, was that lap traffic was really, really difficult to maneuver. It was about patience. It was like that may have just been one of the bigger issues that you had throughout the night. It's just trying to set up the pass, trying to put yourself in a nice position, and that's the difficulty of Sonoma. It feels like a street course.
Yeah, it's I had no luck at getting behind people that were super off pace anywhere that was useful. It seemed to always be through the S. But I'll say most of the lap traffic was really respectful, and you know they would kind of give way when there was a good chance to. And a couple of the guys, I don't know, 10 seconds off the pace blocking the lead lap cars. I don't understand it. I think they're retarded.
Well, a good run for you nonetheless here tonight. You rack up another playoff point with a stage victory at the conclusion of stage 1. You rack up some more valuable points here as you grow your lead heading into next week in the Irish Hills of Michigan. Great performance for you here tonight. Their top 5 run. Before I let you go, Alan, the floor is yours for thank you, sponsors, and shoutouts.
And my beautiful wife, as always, all the guys at Hubka Motorsports, RKR, the guys in Discord, you guys for the broadcast, Adrenaline Rush Coffee Company, appreciate them. All the lap traffic that raced with a little bit of respect, appreciate y'all.
Alan Dobbs, second place here tonight at Sonoma. He'll look to build off this momentum. 3 straight finishes inside of the top 2 next week when we get to the villain superhero themed race at the Michigan International Speedway. Congratulations on the great run, and best of luck here, the continuation of this home stretch of the regular season, Alan.
All right, thanks, buddy. Y'all have a good one.
Let's now see if we can dial up DJ Daniels, who is on a completely different strategy with the rest of the field. Again, based off of some issues he had here today. See if we can get a hold of our third place finisher. DJ, Scott, and Seth up here in the FRM booth. You got us?
What's happening, fellas?
Man, I'll tell you what, it seemed like everybody had an adventure here today in Sonoma. You yourself kind of had to change things up on strategy because of some issues you had here. How difficult was it there? Because Scott was talking about the fuel numbers and everything. You had to maybe save a little bit there on those final 2 runs to be able to get that scheduled distance to the end.
Well, instead of saving my crew chief / spotter, Chris, we came in to actually make another stop about 4 or 5 laps later after the 4 tire stop. So, I mean, it was close, but it wasn't as close as I thought it was going to be. I had to cross the finish line to get the checkered and reverse back because I wasn't going to make it all the way back around.
I mean, tough, difficult, tricky night at the office. I think the biggest thing was that we're sort of talking about with all night long was just getting your way through traffic. So Sonoma's one of those places where it's one of the uncommon road courses we go. It has a high level of difficulty to it, and there is supremely low racing width in terms of things. It's not a Chicago. There's no walls right out there, but the difficulty is for the lap track. There's nowhere for them to go tonight. I think managing the race at large is one of the most difficult things we had to do.
Oh, 100%. And, you're a road racing guy. All these elevation changes, the different bankings, the transitions. It's so easy to get these cars all out of whack. I found that out on those curbs.
Well, you're able to pick up a stage victory, so another playoff point there in your postseason playoff standings bucket, and able to bring it home with a solid podium finish here as well. As we've only got about 5 more regular season races. We're being able to compile a list of drivers that are looking like they're already a lock into the playoffs. Your name is definitely in that conversation with your former win back at Auto Club. We're going to the sister track next week at Michigan, so maybe see you double down on the 2-mile speedways. But a great run for you here tonight. Had to battle through some adversity, still bring it home on the podium. DJ, before we let you go, floor is yours for thank you, sponsors, and shoutouts.
First of all, I just want to throw an apology out there to Scott. I don't know what happened on the first lap. I haven't really went back to look at it, but definitely if it was my fault, I definitely apologize. I did not mean to do anything. Definitely got to thank Chris for guiding me through this, keeping me calm. Rocco's Sign Shop. Trey for the paint scheme. This car is beautiful, in my opinion. I think it's one of the better looking ones out there, but I might be a little biased. Yeah, just everybody watching that supports me, and man, what a race.
Well, DJ Daniels, third place performance here tonight. Brings it home on the podium, and we'll look to build off of this, head into next week's racetrack. Same length, same type of configuration as where he went to victory lane earlier on this season. Auto Club, where he took the checkered flag, looks to double down in the Irish Hills next Wednesday night. Best of luck there. Congrats on the great run here this evening, DJ.
Yes, sir. Thank you, guys.
Start to bring our broadcast to a close here this evening. Scott, again, I know how much you wanted this one. You close out the deal here tonight. I seem to ask this of drivers all the time when we end up having the win and you're in playoff system. How much of a load off your mind is it to finally get that checkered flag? And now, what's the mindset heading into these next races? Because there's speedways. We've got the road course at Road America coming up, but you look at Michigan. We talk about the ability for being able to pull off slide jobs, manipulate the draft. We go to Charlotte. That, I think, is going to be a track where we'll be talking a lot about tires and fuel strategy. Indianapolis, historic racetrack there. Definitely going to be one that we'll be talking about tires. We ended up calling a truck series race on Tuesday night where we saw tires come into play. Nashville Superspeedway, concrete-based mile and a third racetrack. That's a tire killer. I mean, there are some difficult tracks still left to go here. So how do we approach them now having a win in the bank?
The biggest thing for me is that it's something that was sort of considered in the mindset of the last. I've been stupidly aggressive when I necessarily been, and the reason for that was just I have to be. I have no other option. I have to get a win here. We're too far back in the for me to feel comfortable, because if another bad result comes along and chops that point margin away, I had to be a lot more aggressive. So I was driving a lot more in over my head. I was doing things I wouldn't necessarily normally do. I was putting the car in positions I wouldn't necessarily normally put them, and I was cutting guys a lot less slack. I'm going to approach the remainder of the season a lot more calm. I'm just going to enjoy it. Just going to sit back and enjoy it. Try and pick off stage victories. We've seen it week in, week out. The strategy's been so key, particularly that first stage, making it on fuel. You're going to see me fuel save every week from now to the end of the season. Why? Because it's my biggest strength. It's one of the things that I can work on. If I can pick up 1 point each and every week from a stage victory, that makes a big postseason. There's a few guys now that'll switch in the opposite direction. A few guys that are chasing and win. Have a look at Noah Jackson. Look at how aggressive he's been over the last couple of weeks. I said it's one of his biggest strengths, but at the same time, it's now got an opportunity to cost him. I think he's good enough. I think he's locked in. I don't think he needs to. His mindset also needs to be stage victories, because I think he's going to be locked in. He's just going to be here. That's the biggest thing. The racing from here to the end of the season can go one of two ways. It can get stupidly aggressive and we start seeing dumb moves, but have a look at the Cup Series in real life. That happens quite commonly over there as well. Or it backs it up and you see a lot of guys that would normally be aggressive. They're just like, clean race car. Just going to show up in the final stage, give myself an extra set of tires. That's the whole goal. You could see anything from that change. And that goes into mindset. That goes into what are you doing with your... It's so crucial to get that win off the back. Because it also says to me, hey, I'm back. It says to me as a driver, I should have won 3, 4, 5 races thus far. I've been in a position to win that many races. Hasn't happened. So I was a little bit down on myself, feeling down on my luck, feeling, okay, how am I going to break this? But the biggest thing is keep your head in the game. No matter what happens each week, each lap, each turn, you've got to keep going. What is my situation? What do I need to achieve here? Is it letting that car go? Okay, I've got to let that car go.
Well, it will be interesting to see all drivers' mindsets, as you say, how they evolve here, how they culminate down this final run, this home stretch of the regular season in preparation for the playoffs. Buddy, congratulations on the victory here tonight. You can breathe a sigh of relief. You can relax now, and you can just show up here for these final races and have some fun out there. As you said, try to add maybe a little bit more to your playoff points bucket. We've seen you pick up a couple of stage victories already this season. Try and build off of that here, heading down towards the postseason. We thank you all for tuning into our coverage here tonight from Sonoma. Again, join us next Wednesday night, 9 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, right here on FRN for the special event Superhero Villain Race in the Irish Hills at Michigan International Speedway. For my colleague and tonight's race winner, Scott Rankin, I'm Seth Cole. Thanks for spending your Wednesday evening with us. We'll see you guys next week as you've been watching another broadcast courtesy of FRN, the Flatout Racing Network.
This broadcast is the copyrighted work of Flatout Racing Network and may not be rebroadcast, retranslated, or used in any form without the express written consent of Flatout Racing Network and iRacing.com Motorsports Simulations. Flatout Racing Network would like to thank you for your support, and we hope you enjoyed tonight's broadcast.